are going to do more of actual introductions around the room, including us, in just a couple of minutes. But I will start by saying I'm Paul Coates, the Recreation Director for Lebanon Rec, and we want to see what you might have retained from these excellent slides that you were just reviewing. And if you are the first to shoot your hand up, Chrissy will recognize you. If you get the answer right, we have some high-tech gizmos and tasty treats. Not that those treats aren't beautifully tasty, but it's different. Okay. How many acres of parkland does the rec department?
81.
I was going to say within 10, but you did it within the decimal.
I was like, she was
point. Great.
Well, you have your choice.
Okay. How many playgrounds do we manage? 5. Spot on.
Right?
How many gallons of water does it take to fill up boat pools?
Oh, it's over here. Right here.
Yes.
300,000.
300,000 gallons of water. It's good. Because you don't live in the desert, right? What is our net profit on Shamrock Shuffle and then you give me here?
10,000.
April, yes, $10,000. That's pretty good. That's coming up in 2 weeks, just in case you're thinking about running a 5K or walking a 5K or doing a fun run. How many free events do we have annually? Okay, within 10. Oh, within 10. How many free events do we have annually?
If you missed it, feel free to guess.
Yeah, that's right.
We guessed in the office today, I was way off.
130?
That's within
That's
10?
within 10.
123. Yes, 123. So we do things like there's a huh?
Everyone likes a flashlight.
Hey, perfect. High tech. We said
Right?
high tech. Yeah, so things like a front porch concert. That's 8 free events. One event in one way. That's interesting because then we also have a one-day event that takes a ton of our time and organizational effort, like 4th of July celebration or summer celebration with Dance Fest on the mall. That's just one event too. So it sort of averages all itself out. Where do we have cross-country groomed cross-country ski trails in Lebanon?
Behind the hospital.
Yes.
Community hospital.
Behind Alice Peck Hospital. Exactly right. And we also actually have Massanutten Greenway too is being groomed for cross-country skiing. How many gyms and indoor programming space? Gyms and indoor programming space, yes.
3.
3, not nope.
8.
Nope.
You have to clarify, Paul.
Sorry.
Because
How
there are
many?
2 questions.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna rephrase. I'm gonna give you first chance on how many does Lebanon Recreation own?
0.
0. Perfect. Thank you,
And I
Tina.
missed somebody just before that.
That gave Tina great joy, by the way, to correct me.
Becky, right there with the, yeah. Oh.
And what's another question I have? What's the percentage of ag vendors at our farmers market? 55% of our farmers market vendors are meant to be agricultural. How many are craft vendors? 15. Becky, look. I know, right? That's all the questions. You all paid very good attention.
Yeah, right.
Bravo. That was really nice. Okay, good. All right, Chrissy.
Hi. So this, just our quick, Paul's really great at getting the department to take time to build the team. And so we took a day and we were actually down in Claremont. We did an escape room. So that's kind of the backdrop of this photo. We got to go try to escape from the subway. We blew up. We tried, but we had 3 minutes to spare when we thought we had it. And the last puzzle just threw us all for a loop. But I'm Christine, and I'm the recreation coordinator for the department.
I'm Rick DeSharnis. I'm the sports coordinator for the Recreation and Parks Department.
And on here is also Doug, And Megan is sorry she couldn't be here tonight. She was supposed to be, but she's not feeling well and wanted to just stay home. So.
And Doug is not sorry he couldn't be here tonight.
Yeah.
He's
That's
very
home
happy
too.
being on the tractors.
True.
Yes.
Doug is the head of maintenance for the recreation department.
So all our fields, he's out there, rinks, pool. He does quite a bit. So.
Grooming the trails.
Yep.
So, to begin discussion, we're gonna make this as interactive with your input coming to us as possible. So, take a moment. I'm gonna give you about 20 seconds here. Study these pictures. If you need to see them a little closer, feel free to get up and get a closer look. But there's 4 main pictures here. Just take a look and think about this question. What do you see? And we'll talk about this in a moment. This is not the quiz thing with the chocolates and the flashlights coming up next. We're going to keep it up. You don't have to memorize what part they're at and things, but,
If you.
well, you could. So, with the question, what do you see? What's happening? What's the benefit? What's happening in these pictures? Just broadly speaking.
Kids doing things together.
Kids playing, okay.
And being outside.
Outside, good.
Fun.
Fun, thank you.
Not in lead.
Not in lab. Some of that is not in lab. That's true. There's field trips that are involved in this. Yes, exploring outside of our boundaries.
Group activities.
Group activities. Nice.
Sportsmanship.
Sportsmanship. Thank you. We're getting into some steeper stuff. Listening. Yes. Oh, this is a good crowd. Okay. Sorry.
Different age groups.
Different ages. Okay. Thank you. Different ages. Give me some more of that. We see kids here. And we see some are older kids, some are younger kids. What other ages do we see going on in here? Might be tougher to tell from where you are, but what age do you think this guy might be?
9 or 10.
Yeah, that's very hard in the picture.
Yeah.
That's a coach.
Oh.
I'm very happy
Two
to hear
coaches.
you say it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well.
That's a coach. Yeah, he's
Looks pretty young.
really young. He actually is really young.
Yep.
But yeah, so we have that going on too, though.
And he's a good coach because he got down at their level.
Yeah, that's what you need to do.
Right. What else do you think is happening? What's well, I don't have to do any more than that. Does anybody else have something you want to share about these pictures? We're going to come back to this later. But if you see anything else, speak now. If not, that's a pretty good list. Okay, thank you. Good exercise.
So, do you or know someone that's done some sort of recreation? Yes. What kind?
The
Swimming?
Shamrock Shuffle.
Shamrock Shuffle? Anything with Lebrec specifically, or just generally in the community?
Does floor hockey count?
Yep.
Ski lessons.
Ski lessons, great.
Softball.
Softball, yes, for sure.
Rail trail.
Rail trail, yeah. That's
Love
great.
Rail trail.
Yay! We like that.
Hiking, snowshoeing.
Yep. Definitely.
And veterans pool.
The pool? That's a big part of our summer.
Fireworks.
My dog loves the conservation land across the street.
Oh, good. Hey, you're taking your dog for a walk. That's huge. That's recreation. Awesome.
Which park do you go to?
Chambers.
Chambers, yeah, nice. Good.
The Monday and Thursday concerts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So everyone, sounds like everyone's farmer's market. Yeah.
Every Thursday.
Great. Great. Everyone's done something, which is great to hear. That's, I almost want to say rare when it's all in the same room, but that's fantastic. So when you think about programming, obviously that comes with the rec department, and we do quite a bit with did we freeze? Did we freeze? You're wondering, what is there for me? What's available in the community? We did this little timeline here with the ages. From 0 to 2, all the way to 55 and up on what's available. We've got a variety of pictures down below, but this was our rail trail stroller walk, and where kids can come out with their parents and just come for a walk on the rail trail. It's nice and flat, makes it easy. We got soccer programs. We have a bunch of youth programs for after school or no school or breaks. And then we also have adult programming, which we'll talk a little bit more a little later. But we also have programming for 55 and up. All of this top programming is free for the entire community. All ages, we want you to come out, we want you to have fun. And our big thing is what would you be inspired to see with what we do and what you'll learn tonight? Are there other things you want to see the rec department get involved with, do more of? What do you want to do? Does anyone not know that we do all these programs? If you guys have anything to add, you can.
Was the food truck festival really successful last year?
We're going to talk about it,
Yep.
for sure.
But yes, it was.
But yes, it was.
It was awesome.
Short answer.
Awesome. Yes.
Pause in the pool.
Pause in the pool. Rick specifically had a hand in pause in the pool.
Yeah, so our pool closes on a Saturday in late August, and we shut all the chlorine down to the pools. And the Sunday following the shutdown, we invite folks and their dogs to come take a swim. And we partner with the Mascoma Valley Dog Park and also the Four Legs and a Tail magazine. And we have fun raffle prizes, and it's just a day for your dogs to go swimming.
You'll see some of those photos too.
Yeah, we have some great photos in here that we've gotten over the years.
So what I liked when I came here, which is a long time ago, they had these Lebanon land excursions
Oh, yeah.
or hiking.
Wild About
trail.
Lebanon.
Yeah, and that it came back. Is that true? In the
Yes.
last couple of years, or last year or so.
It has, it's a little different now. There's we like to call some of our volunteers champions over certain personal interests that they might be passionate about. So Wild About Lebanon was created with the rec department and a citizen named Nicole Corman, if anybody knows of Nicole. And Nicole passed away just a few years ago, but that was her big puppy, was Wild About Lebanon. Now the Upper Valley Land Trust helps run those programs for Lebanon.
And I thought when you just come to Lebanon the first time, it's great to learn all these lands because I'm still 10 years later, still walking all these farms. So
Yeah.
it was
That's a
really
great point.
great to learn where you can go for a walk.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a good point to make.
We'll expand on that too.
Yes. And Chrissy's given us a nice sample of the different types of programs that are going on. These are mostly examples of some of those free ones that we mentioned. But really, it takes us about 30 pages worth of catalog to list all of the programming that happens. And that's why you have a full year's worth of program guide that you're picking up here tonight. There's the fall winter that we're just finishing up right now, and then we already have our spring summer program guide. So we do hope you'll finger through those as we go along to see all the stuff that we go. And our purpose isn't really to talk about all the programs that we have as much as it is to give you that sample of saying, wow, look how the breadth of the programming that does exist, and to encourage you to help us think about what programming might be missing.
Definitely.
One thing, there's quite a few of us from West Webb here. It'd be nice if some of the things could come here. There's not a lot done here, like could some of the farmers markets be here instead of at Coleman Park? But everything's really, there, and we're trying to improve West Lebanon too, so just a thought.
Valuable. That's great.
Yeah, we can converse on that. That's been some feedback that we've heard, and we've. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it tonight, but I would actually say that yes, there's definitely a program that happens on both sides of town. Coleman Park is a unique space. It's unique to New England even though most towns have a central park, have a common green like that. But Coleman Park's a special place for sure, and there's a certain amount of the parking that exists there and other things that really lend itself to being a dynamic, wonderful place to hold events. Coleman Park is definitely a park for Lebanon residents and West Lebanon residents. And but actually, I don't know if people know this, but our two most popular parks in the entire Lebanon district are in West Lebanon. Civic Park it's more of our sports programming than any other park can take, and Riverside Community Park, where the skateboarding park is, and the pavilion, is by far our most active, non-programmed recreational area, mainly because of that skateboard park. I can't tell you how much people come from far and wide to be able to use that place. But is there more programming we can do? Yeah, we would love to bring more programming to West Lebanon. Facilities to handle some of that programming would be the key missing link at this point in time.
So is Civic Park the one that's on the end of Maple Street, or is that behind school up here?
It's behind the old Seminary Hill School.
Okay.
Right. The Maple Street Park in that neighborhood is called Smith Ball Field, and that's owned and operated by the Lebanon Little League Baseball Association.
Nice.
So you mentioned one thing like Coburn Park has parking, making it easy for people with cars to get there. Is there something rec could do to lend out bikes, take advantage of the Mascoma Greenway, and get people to West Leb even without, so that they don't need to have that parking if that's a constraint in West Leb? So that seems like a good thing, get people out of their cars, being more active,
Right.
and something that rec could potentially help with the West Leb.
Right. Yeah, just sharp graphics. I like it. Yeah,
Very
that's
cool.
good. Bike share program, bike loaning program, they're
Talked about
certainly
it.
proven to be successful. We do have an interdepartmental effort trying to at least explore how some of that might look. I think one of the big links that is being solved right now is that tunnel going on the mall to be able to actually link the Greenway with downtown without having to get around Hanover Street and Mascoma Street. So knowing that that's going to be completed in 2020 will really make that point hit home big time. Like, let's make sure people are on this and eliminate barriers, which might be I don't have a bike to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The other thing is the tail end of the rail trail on the West Lebanon end, it's hard to get on or off of that.
Yeah, there's not much parking there. It's really very difficult.
True. True story. The design of the Greenway is for it to actually link all the way to Lyman Bridge in West Lebanon, and certainly to Westboro Park. Dreaming of the day, which we're a step closer with governor's news from the governor's office in the newspaper this past week about Westboro maybe actually coming online for Lebanon residents to enjoy rather than turn an eye to. So at any rate, yeah, where the Greenway currently ends on Glen Road is not the end of that story, and access onto it is a struggle. It's definitely a struggle. We don't have great answers for that at the moment, other than to continue to plan on how we can extend it and get it into population centers where we can get on it.
And the next one. Ready. Thank you for your info. It's good. Yeah, you.
So, has anybody not heard of the Shamrock Shuffle prior to tonight? Okay, and you're
Good.
brand new, so yeah, a couple of us. All right, good. Well, Shamrock Shuffle is, it's an 18th year now, and this is a race that started off with about 120 people in year one back in 2001. And we kind of hit that bubble of communities wanting to offer road races. And really, we offered it because we wanted to start generating some money for scholarship programs, just to be able to allow for there to be a fund to help families who are in need of scholarship money to be able to join our programs. But we did not anticipate raising any significant dollars to this event until one year. It was like around 2007, was it? It was around 2007. The years all flood together for me now. We had gone from 100 runners up to maybe 200, 300, 400. We were increasing every year. And then one year it was like 60 degrees outside. And we had gone from having 500 runners to 50% more than that in the 1 year. And we were blown away by it. We were unable to handle it well. There was a line of runners at the finish line that we couldn't process fast enough. And we said, wow, we just created a beast. And now we're up to about 1,200 runners on a good year, consistently 1,000 runners. And this is really good for Lebanon. And if you're ever around downtown, March 16th this year, you will see a sea of green cruising down our streets. And it is a lot of people having a really good time. And this happens to be something, for me, in a personal level, I'm a runner, and I bring this level of passion to our department. And it's one of the more interesting parts about, I think my job is we have this freedom to say, well, what are we passionate about? What do we think other people in this community will enjoy? So from this, we have the running club. We have multiple races that are offered year-round. The Shamrock Shuffle has been one of these crowning glory of the races that we offer that, like we said earlier in the slide, generates about $10,000 a year. We no longer have to dedicate that to scholarships because we have other mechanisms that enable people who need the financial help to get it. But we are able to instead dedicate a lot of those funds towards doing things in our parks and with programming that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do with our general operating funds.
I think that was a question on the did you know?
Yep.
How many races is our department directly involved in? Does anyone remember from way back when we started?
All this time is gone by.
Anybody want to guess?
Tough.
5.
Five,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
You get a rubber chicken.
So it is a great time, and it's a place where if you're not a runner, if people want to be able to volunteer and be around a lot of actions happening in Lebanon, there you go. But you know, places like Salt Hill, they really like us. Because we send a lot of people to Salt Hill on that day. And but it's true for and Rick will talk about this too. We'll talk about it later. But this is an economic stimulus for Lebanon to have this many people coming from out of town and within our residential population to come and do an event here.
How many of those 1,200 are, from Leb versus outside?
Right. I haven't actually run that demographic in a while, but I would venture it's around half. Yeah, around half.
And I'd say a really important word that shows up for the first time on this slide is partnerships. Certainly Paul mentioned Salt Hill, but the number of partnerships that we have just for this race, we have to collaborate with a lot of folks to make it happen. And all that we do doesn't happen without partnerships, whether they're local businesses or local residents, local civic groups. That is really key to all that we do in town.
And one of the fun and key partner in our work, and one of the fun things that we do with this is, especially with this fun run component, but even for the 5K, one of our key well, who would you say? Who do you imagine is one of our key partners in offering Lebanon Rec activities? They're a big one, definitely, but all very good examples. Not quite, but I'm thinking about the school district, right? So they're not a city function. The school district is separate from the city. You probably learned that through this program. But we have this great partnership with them that not only do we get to use school facilities for a lot of our programming, but we have this cool thing with Shamrock Shuffle where we have a challenge at Hanover Street School in particular. It also exists at Mount Lebanon School where the classrooms get to challenge one another to say which one will have the highest percentage participation in this event. So if kids say, I'm going to do the fun run, and the teacher says, I'm going to do the fun run, then we sort of count. How many from this class did? How many from that class did? And the class that has the highest percentage participation gets a free pizza party fun day with us during their lunch break. And it's just a great time.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
A lot of
it's
fun.
fun. But it's amazing how much it encourages kids to come out and do things, to come outside and join us.
The last 4 years, it's been a kindergarten class that has won. So think about the 5-year-olds
Tiny.
who are out there with their teachers and they just have a blast.
So summer concert series, how many have actually been to a Monday or Thursday noon show or a Thursday night show? Awesome. All right, so all of our concerts presently for Mondays, Thursday afternoon, Thursday night are in Colburn Park. This was the first opening night last summer. We partner greatly with the Point Independent Radio Station, and they have come on since the series has started. They would always do the end show. Now we've agreed that they'll do the first show and the last show. So they kind of start and end it. But in our partnership, we cross-promote. They do all of our media advertising on the radio for us, and it gets exposure for the artists, but it also gets exposure for the department and brings more people into the community. We're in our 12th season for Front Porch, and we've had over 180 shows with concerts total. Partnerships are key. We partner with the Opera House to help bring in new artists. So Thursday nights specifically, we look for music that's not necessarily from the area. We look for original artists, original work, Mondays, we stick with a tradition and do kind of the community band. I call it the big band sound because there are a lot of big bands with the drums and the flutes and the clarinets and the percussion. Like it's a band. So Monday nights have stuck with that. Thursday afternoon, we do a children's series, and those vary from theater to music. Sometimes we've gotten jugglers, and we have a new group coming this summer. It's called Trend in Motion, and they were actually, I think, on America's Got Talent. But they're a young teen dance group based out of Boston. So it's kind of, we get to have fun and try to bring new talent into the community so folks can come see things that they wouldn't normally see. Volunteers, it takes folks to help out, when needed, and to just kind of be that info, be that person that can direct folks throughout the farmers market or where things need to be. And the impact, well, how many people do you think are sitting in this park right now? The impact is there. And as much as there's the biggest limitation is parking. And shockingly, I think folks know we're going to go into the downtown area. We will have to find parking, but we'll find it somewhere. And so I think that that's something that it's working, but we're doing pretty good about it. What else do we do? So Food Truck Festival. We got some stats from last year, and we were able, with our new software system, to track things pretty cool, which we never really got this type of detail before. But out of ticket holders last year, Lebanon and West Leb residents, we had 48.38% folks come out for the event. With over 1,500 tickets sold, we were almost at about half, which is pretty amazing for attendance for the community. So that for us was huge because we program for the community. We're not trying to get people to come in from wherever. But we did find out, based on where folks bought, they bought their ticket, signed up. We had folks that were visiting, and they're from Texas or Florida or, Massachusetts. So we had some outliers. But, it was a fun thing that they saw that they could do in the Upper Valley, which is awesome. We raised over $6,000 for park development, which is amazing. And if anyone's been at Colburn Park, you will actually see some new play structures there on the green. The Food Truck Festival is awesome. It's coming back, bigger and better for 2 days. So this is this year's flyer. So if you're interested, tickets do go on sale. What did we say?
March 15th, I believe.
That's applications. April 1st.
April 1st.
April 1st, tickets are on sale. So if you're interested. And we're still looking for food trucks, so if you're
I have a question.
Yeah.
I went last year, and when we get there, there's no tickets.
because we were sold out last year.
Yeah, but the thing is, the people come in and they eat and they go out.
Yep.
So I thought, well, maybe there is a space available to get in because people
Come and go, tracking the numbers.
Yeah.
Well,
Why would you cap it?
because we didn't know this
Fire code.
response.
Also,
And fire
there's a
capacity.
fire code.
Yeah.
The fire department said there was a certain number of tickets that we were able to sell for that space.
Yep.
Even for an outdoor event?
For an outdoor event,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we have to control the access in and out.
The exits. And I think that's a great idea. We talked about
We have
that in
talked
the
about it.
office.
Yep.
And how could we manage that? One of the challenges is there's a lot of exits. And so not necessarily knowing how many people went out, right, and they were stamped so they could come back.
Yep.
So actually tracking if they left for the day or if they went to put something in their car, that's one of the challenges, but we certainly appreciate that, and we've kicked around, is there a way that we would be able to do that? I think that's one of the reasons why we've gone to a 2-day event.
Yeah.
So now we anticipate being able to serve 3,000 people instead of just 1,500. So if you can't make it to Friday, you'll have the opportunity to come on Saturday.
Okay.
But buying tickets, knowing that you want to go is a big deal, and being able to buy tickets ahead of time, because we were actually surprised when we sold out before the
Yes.
event. And in a way it's pleasant because it's hard to sell tickets at the door in some ways, but there's definitely an incentive to to deciding if you want to be able to go and to buy your tickets at least a few days ahead of time.
I met some people that they pay for that, but seeing the long lines,
Yes,
they, no,
Yes.
no way.
yeah.
We don't wanna wait for that.
Yeah.
And for me, in my case, I have I wanna go there and there's no tickets, you go, oh my God, no, and there are a lot of people who wanna go there and they don't have tickets.
Yep. Yeah, we had a lot, Megan and I ran the door, and we had a lot of folks either bring their extra tickets to the front and said, we have an extra ticket, can you hold it, use it for someone else? So we had a lot of that. So if you knew folks that weren't interested, they wanted to give you your tickets, that was fine for us, as long as you had something. But yeah, we had a lot of nice people last year.
It was the first year too.
Yes,
It was.
that's it,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know,
And
you
we're
gotta figure
actually-
things out.
yeah.
And we're actually bringing in, so it won't be quite 3,000 people between the 2 days. It's going to be 1,200 per day. So we're going to invite 300 less into the green for each one of the events.
Part of that was long
Just
lines.
because of those long lines, yeah.
We got that feedback.
I didn't make it to last year, but I've been to other ones where some of the food trucks also run out.
Yep.
So you need a capacity plan.
Yep.
The other thing you could potentially do is hold back 50 or 100 tickets for sale day of, just to give people who maybe didn't hear about it a chance to show up. But as you said, it's certainly easier for you guys, and I also wanted to say, did I see you have 6 people on your team?
5
Or
full-time
5?
staff.
Five.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For 5.
that handle all of these events, that's amazing, so. I just-
Thank you. Yes.
I'm looking at these numbers and I'm seeing 18 volunteers and I'm having anxiety. Do you need more volunteers with that? I mean, it sounds like it went pretty smoothly, but I
Yeah.
just, as I'm looking at that, I'm feeling like I don't want to do this with only 17 other people. You know what I mean?
Well, certainly there was paid staff, and Salt Hill had paid staff,
Yeah.
and each food truck.
And this was
had their
just
paid staff.
our, like, Lebrec connected volunteers. So every truck had staff,
Okay.
whether it was 3 or 4, however many. And then Salt Hill had their whole entire staff, and they did IDs and bracelets. So, like, yeah. Everyone had a little entity. So,
How many trucks were at?
12.
So they're
Yep.
all different kinds of food?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had never heard of this till just now, so.
Awesome.
And that's the max number that we can actually fit on that half of the green.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to bring out more, but that's what we can fit.
Awesome. Where are we for time? Okay. One of the so our summer day camp program is Camp K, and that's short for Camp Kaleidoscope. Can anyone spell kaleidoscope? Give it a shot.
Yep. This is worth 2.
Anyone want to take a shot?
Paula, participate.
KALEIDOSCOPE.
Nice work.
She did.
Click on it.
You want the next slide?
Yeah. Oh, it just goes up. Yeah. I spelled it out just in case.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I gotta confirm, make sure. So Camp K is an accredited camp program. We run for ages 5 to 12, and we have up to 93 participants, including our leader in training program, which can take 10, 13, and 14-year-olds. We have our leader in training program work with our 5 to 8-year-olds, and it is constantly developing every summer. The 5 to 12 go on field trips each week, swim lessons each week, arts and crafts, sports and games, your traditional summer camp, try to get outside for the summer. We graciously partner with the SAU. They give us either one of the schools to kind of be our home base. So since we don't have our own community center, we lean very heavily on the school to just say, can we have a gym, a room for an office, and a cafeteria to eat, and an art room. You know, we'll go as minimal as possible, but just to make summer camp happen. Residents, it's 140 a week. Non-residents, it's 180 a week. And it's a lot of fun. Our goals, again, fun. We teach safety, skill development, and citizenship is a mixture of just creating good citizens. So community service, learning how to be kind to one another, engagement with, teamwork, all of those things. So,
My son has done it for 5 years
Yeah.
now. And if you know children or have children or have had children, you know that you're not enough entertainment for them. So this is, it's such a wonderful camp for all of these reasons, and for them to get the exercise and be with friends. And Chrissy does a great job with her staff, and I can't say enough about Camp K if you have no experience with it.
I will add to, Camp K started, I don't know how many years ago, but
30.
it was full. You know, when we created this camp, before my time here even, camp filled up automatically. There was a line out the door and stuff. This is way before internet, maybe not before internet, but before we had online registrations and stuff like that. Then there was a trend where a lot of places were opening up camps, right? So there was a camp for this, a camp for that. Even within the Upper Valley, there were a lot of camps. So our registration started going below capacity for a while, and we didn't raise rates or any of that stuff. But there's been a new trend, and for the past 6, 7, 8 years, how long have you been here, Chrissy? 9 years in this role. She was actually our Camp K director before she became full time with us. We've been at capacity again, even though all those other camps still exist. So we're showing 93 participants. This is just unique participants, but we're full every week for all of our age groups. And we try to keep the rates as affordable as we possibly can. In fact, our objective is not to make money on camp. It is to make sure parents have a place to send kids for the summertime and all the benefits that Chris has talked about. But there's a demand for Camp K because there's a great value for this activity within our
Registration starts Monday. If you know anyone that needs camp. March 6th.
Does it run all summer? or-
6 weeks. Some of the folks, like CCBA camp will run 8 weeks, but they have their own center. So we have to leave the school so they can clean for the school year. We try not to be messy. One of our, Megan Henry, she took on an adventure. And this is, anyone know what YOLO stands for?
You only live once.
Hey.
Yeah. So we are expanding programming, and starting this summer, specifically May 18th, we're looking at different programs that will engage folks. Really, we're trying to engage more 18 to like 40 to come do some things with us. Horseback riding, tandem hang gliding, scuba class, and hot glass blowing experience. All very unique, all done on Saturdays, I think. I believe they're all
Yes.
Saturdays.
I think she said that.
And just those experiences that you want to do, but you're not sure about how to do it, or you want to experience it with others. This is it. This is what we're striving for. So we are aware that programming-wise, we know we do a lot for youth. We do a lot for adult and seniors, but we're missing this gap, and that's where we're striving for here. So if there are unique experiences you would like to see added to this list, share with us.
Tina Stearns just said she's hoping some others will sign up for the tandem hang gliding class with her.
She needs a second.
Exactly, Paul.
I call this Choose Your Own Adventure. I've been running the Savvy Senior program since it started. It's been on beforehand, and Paul was kind of the cohort on leading the seniors. Inside story is that when I first started, they would always say, "Are you taking a U-turn?" And I said, "No, I don't need to take a U-turn. I know where I'm going." It's like, "Well, you're not pulling a Paul Coates," because Paul would often get lost and have to take a U-turn. I've only done 2, and they'll let me know. 55 and over. So as funny as it seems, when I first started, I had a core, solid group of folks that would come on all the things, and it continued for a little while. And as I'm in the last year or 2, I've started noticing my own new demographic from 55 and older, because the reality is folks are still working, not yet retired, or we're retired and just home and we really don't want to go out, or we just want to go out and eat. So I have 4 different groups of folks to program for. So I try new things. I do all different types of trips. We're going to museums, we're going out to eat. I try to pair something with an activity. So it's not just sitting, but we'll go walk, and I always like to make it fun. I like to get to know everyone and just make new connections with folks, and so folks can know, I got 2 ladies, they met on the trips, they're now BFFs, and they go visit each other every week, once a week. but like they don't do much. They tell me all the shows they watch, and it's like, well, do you know what we do with our free time? We watch TV, and I'm like, but you're taking time to come out on trips. You're taking time to still be active, and that's huge. So, and I look to make it affordable. I know some of the, I say in the office, one of the ladies, they get paid with their Social Security on Tuesdays. So they came in and dropped $100, and I'm like, I feel like awful, but they're doing what they want to do. They're budgeting accordingly, but it's affordable for them. So it's good. Gets them out there.
So kind of my forte in the office is sports, and we offer lots of sports. We have sports for youth, and we have sports for adults. And is anyone familiar with the sports that we offer through Lebanon Rec? Anyone want to guess? Throw out a sport, I'll tell you if we offer it. Basketball. Yeah, just finished up our basketball season. We offer basketball K through 4th grade, and we have great community partners with the Lebanon School District and the CCBA to utilize their gym space because currently we do not own a gym. So, any other sports? Soccer, biggest sport that we offer. We had a picture of preschool soccer up here earlier. You saw a little girl, she had on her Salttail Pub shirt. It was yellow, and it was over her rain suit because on the last day of preschool soccer, which had 96 participants, so you can imagine 6 Saturdays come down to Eldridge Park, and you see all those 3- and 4-year-olds running around kicking a soccer ball. And then we actually offer soccer preschool through 8th grade. Many people don't know that we offer sports for a lot of the sports for the middle school, as the middle school only offers 1 sport per gender per season. So in the fall, when we do soccer, they do football and field hockey. Any other sports? We do offer tennis lessons in the summer. We don't have any competitive tennis, but we do tennis for preschool through 8th grade. Yeah, good. Cricket. Interestingly enough, there's an adult group that we allow to store their equipment at Eldridge Park, and they go out on Sundays in the summer, and they try to hit the wicket, right? It's the wicket in cricket. Any others? Archery. We do not do any archery. No.
Skeet shooting.
Skeet shooting. Hey, I'm getting a lot of good ideas, which is great. We offer tackle football. I don't know, the picture's kind of blurry, but you can see this was our youth football jamboree. We also have field hockey for youth. We have cheerleading. We have lacrosse. We have a very robust track and field program. So we offer a lot of sports. For adults, coming up this spring, we'll have over 400 adults participate in an adult softball league. We have pickup basketball nights where anyone can go and shoot hoops. So as far as sports, very robust offering. So this spring we'll have about 200 kids in sports, 400 adults. So people in Lev are very active, which is great. Does anyone know why kids say they play sports? What do you think are some of the things they might tell you if you asked a child why they play on a team?
We like to be outside.
Like to be outside. We do hear that they like to be outside. Yeah, good.
But it's cool.
It's fun. It's cool. Is that what I heard?
Make friends.
Make friends. Yep. Excellent. Do you know that 80% of kids say they would rather play on a losing team than sit the bench on a winning team? So we work really hard with our programs and our coaches to make sure that our focus is skill development, child development, make sure that everyone's playing, so that everyone has the same opportunity to develop, when really whatever's on the scoreboard is not the most important thing that's happening that day. What benefits do kids get from sports?
Teamwork.
Teamwork, a big one.
Sportsmanship.
Health, sportsmanship, exercise. These sports that we're talking about here, these are lifetime sports. We have a lot of adults who use our fields for adult soccer. We talked about adult softball. There's adult floor hockey, ice hockey leagues. Sports are a lifetime thing. Frisbee, yeah. So a lot of benefits. There's a lot of studies out there that kids who participate in organized sports or individual sports, team sports, just track through their lifetime. They often have much greater success in school, in their work life. So.
And I'm gonna foreshadow a little bit because Rick's gonna cover this in a little bit too, but our definition of sports is quite broad at Lebanon Recreation. There's very traditional sports that exist, the ones we've all mentioned already. There's other sports that are lifelong sports that we're actually quite excited to be able to offer here in Lev. And in many ways, believe it or not, we were pioneers in this around the country to start doing this. A lot of rec departments offer some of the things we do now, but there was a time when we were one of the few to offer some of the stuff. I'll hold your suspense because Rick gets to cover that.
Yeah. All right. All right, so another fun thing that I get to do is in the summertime, I get to show up to work in my bathing suit and flip-flops. Maybe not policy over at City Hall. We offer SOAR camp. We also offer kayaking camps. This is a quick video from our SOAR camp last year, and you'll see some of the activities that we participated in. Froze, there we go. This is at Pawtuckaway State Park. We're very fortunate that EMS in town loans us kayaks and stand-up paddleboards, as well as the Lebanon School District. They own 6 paddleboards that they have loaned us. Paddle power. What's that? This is Pawtuckaway State Park, so this is Pawtuckaway Lake. Raymond,
yeah.
Raymond, New Hampshire.
Just outside of Manchester. Nice. We're not sponsored by GoPro, unfortunately.
So, Paul was very instrumental in creating this outdoor adventure program that our department has. And I've been very fortunate that in my time here, I've gotten to also take part in it. But we take these kids out, and this is an overnight trip. So we're cooking our meals together, we're sleeping in tents. The life lessons that the kids can learn on these, because well, first of all, they ask me to do everything, but I won't do it for them. You know, or the conflicts that they come in with other children, and they have to resolve them, because guess what? We're all going to be together for the whole week. So I love the outdoor adventure program. We also do mountain biking. I mentioned the kayaking, the stand-up paddleboarding, rock climbing. Not everybody's been rock climbing outside. A lot of people go to the gyms. You can't beat this. This is the real deal. We also offer, we used to do an Appalachian Trail hike. However, we have completed the entire New Hampshire portion of the Appalachian Trail, the entire Vermont portion of the Appalachian Trail, and we're now, this year will be our second year doing the Long Trail, which goes north to south or south to north through the whole state of Vermont. So we're out there for 4 days, 3 nights. Everything you need on your back in a pack. Paul, Chrissy, and I have all had the opportunity to lead those trips. It's you get to connect with kids in a way that you don't always. You know, those relationships that you build, and it's hard work. So they struggle. You can run the full range of emotions on a trip, as you can imagine. So with blisters and you know, being tired.
No phones.
No phones.
No electronics.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about our outdoor adventure program.
And that's the sport I was, those are all sports.
Those are all
That's-
sports,
that's what
absolutely,
we're
yeah.
excited about,
Yeah. Paul talked about earlier, he's a runner. I'm kind of a tinkerer. And one thing, when I first started at Lebrec, I had built a picnic table at home out of all the scrap wood I had. I found this plan online. I said, I'm going to build a picnic table. And then I came here and I said, hey, what do you think if we try a build your own picnic table program? Paul's like, great. So we've partnered with La Valley Building Supply, and you can come and we have all the tools, and you purchase all the supplies, and we help you put together a picnic table. And if you live in the immediate area, Lebanon, Hanover, we'll even deliver it to your house for you. So this year we also did build your own cornhole. If you're familiar with cornhole. I think we're going to stick with the picnic table. Cornhole was a little more intricate. If I can find a design that I like a little better, maybe we'll try that again. But this is just another great way to get families out, maybe doing something they wouldn't have done. You can certainly go buy that picnic table for about the price that you're going to spend on the materials, but these folks all have a lot of satisfaction from building it themselves. See the smiles on their faces.
When does this happen?
This happens, this is in June. It is in the guide. Yeah, it's the first Saturday in June this year. It's either the 1st or the 2nd.
Yes. We're gonna cook through some of these because, man, time with you all comes right along. So programming is clearly a big focus of Lebanon Recreation and Parks. Parks is another big focus of Lebanon Recreation and Parks. So not everybody wants to take part in the program. In fact, there are a lot of folks who are more introverted or more just passive in the way you want to go out and enjoy your natural surroundings or the place where you live. But connecting people to place is a large part of what we want to do, and Parks is where a lot of that happens. So what is our reach? How many people do we reach through our efforts? Well, we can measure that by program participation. Much harder to measure is how many people we reach because we have parks plans that people want to go and visit. And I would dare say, if we were to count how many calories are spent via one program or another, I say something like the Mascoma River Greenway or the skate park or any one of our hiking trails sort of accomplishes those same goals as us having an entire football team with the kids out there running around and doing that work. So parks are definitely very important to us. We have another challenge for you. Can anybody name where this park is? This is the before picture when work is just starting on it. This is what it looks like. Well, imagine that was snow. That's what it looks like today. But yes, April, I think you're right on this.
Yes, the Pocket Park right next to the Goslow.
It's the Pocket Park in Sagoslogan, yeah. And you must have known that too, Ray, because I saw you jumping out of your chair. Yeah. So this is a major transformation, and by the way, this happens with volunteer work. This transformation is a large effort by a group of volunteers who really wanted to make something happen. And you might not notice, but this is a tremendous amount of effort to plant all of these beautiful plants up and down here, up and down here. There's fruit trees planted along here now. And the river flows right by this. So I could talk on and on about how important it is for us to start, well, many of us in here could start talking about how important it is for us to accentuate the Mascoma River. Has been behind the buildings for many years, been dating back to the industrial age. We want to accentuate it now. And so we're trying to do more and more to bring attention to the Mascoma River. How about this one? Where is it? Oh, Ray, I'm going to go there. Yeah, you got this one. Go ahead and shout it out for us, Ray. Where is it?
It's the rail trail that goes from Lebanon to West Lebanon.
Thank you, yes. Our Mascoma River Greenway. So, if you're not familiar with this prior to now, then, well, we're here to make sure you know that the Mascoma River Greenway does exist today, and this is decades worth of work. And as of July last year, we had a grand opening. There's more work to do on this, but this is a 2-mile separated pathway, 4-season, non-motorized place for access. Anybody want to just throw out a guess? What percentage of our population in Lebanon, West Lebanon, lives within a half a mile of this greenway? This was not on the slide.
60%?
60%? That's a very good guess. 50% live within a half a mile. 75% lives within 1 mile. What that means for us is, and studies show this, that if people have access to places where they can recreate and be physically active, they are like 80% more likely to get the recommended daily allowance of exercise. That's right, the CDC has all these great figures out there that say you should get about average of 30 minutes of exercise a day. You're 80% more likely to get that amount of exercise if you live within striking distance. That means I don't necessarily have to get in my car, or I can be there within a matter of a couple of minutes rather than a 20-minute drive or something like that. This is a game changer in Lebanon. It really is. We have already met folks who have said, I live close enough to this thing where we are now selling our second car because I can use the greenway to get to work and back. And we don't have to have 2 cars as a family any longer. The tunnel that's happening, and city manager's office can talk about this quite a bit, or when you get to DPW, but the tunnel rehabilitation project is also a game changer. Not just because of what needs to happen around the mall, but for the greenway and the rail trail, that's going to be huge. It's going to be big. So we're all benefiting from the work that's happening out there. And how about this one? This is a playground that existed since about 2003 or so on Colburn Park. You all know how many people come to Colburn Park on any given farmer's market night or concert. And anybody know when this happened? Just last fall. Yes. Yeah, we did a study a couple of years ago called Safe Routes to Play. Mimics the Safe Routes to School initiative. Trying to find ways to help kids and families start walking and biking to school again. And what are the infrastructure needs that we have? Because kids used to do that back in the day, and now everybody's getting a ride. So there's a national movement trying to get kids to power themselves to school. Safe Routes to Play, same kind of idea. Can we connect neighborhoods to parks, to places where people work, and all of those things? And so from that study, we discovered we really don't have much for the infant to 5-year-old. Most of our playgrounds are designed for 5 to 12-year-olds. Well, what's the big deal? It's not that big of a difference. There's a huge difference, actually. Rick is our certified playground inspector. He has done massive amounts of hours studying and understanding how to keep these playgrounds safe for people. Tremendous asset for us as a department. And from that, we arrived at these great new play structures in Colburn Park. And again, game changers. This is something that doesn't exist in most places in the Upper Valley, and here it is in one of our most popular parks now. Who knows where this is? Name of the park? You might know the name? Pat Walsh Park. Thank you, Bianca. So there was a time for many decades when this is how we did ice skating in Pat Walsh Park. It's kind of a grassy area. Many of you may have skated there in your life. We waited for it to snow. We pushed up snowbanks. We hoped that it was cold enough for the ground to be frozen. And we spent a lot of nights with a fire hose and big old mountaineering mitts spraying down that grass until we started to build up ice. it would take weeks of effort and ideal weather conditions to be able to build up a place where we could have outdoor ice skating. There was always lights out there. We were progressive in that nature. But as weather patterns have changed around the globe, we discovered that was a really difficult effort, and we were not able to maintain ice so well. So with our Friends of Lebanon Recreation and Parks is our 501c3 arm. It's not attached to the city. They are an independent agency, and if any of you would like to get involved, we would love it. I would sit on their board as a staff liaison, but it is a volunteer group of people who their mission is to enhance and encourage recreational opportunities in Lebanon. So, with our partnership with them, we have purchased and built 2 ice rinks at Pat Walsh Park. We have a new warming hut that's there now. All of that warming hut and these ice rinks have been public-private partnership. No city tax dollars have gone into any of that, other than we help buy liners and things like that for the ice rinks. And we put a lot of staff time out there. But great partnership stuff, and this is one of the gems for Lebanon winters now.
So now we can get ice in about 3 days with the right
Right.
conditions.
Right.
Now, being able to contain it in a liner with the boards,
Yep.
opposed to weeks.
Yep.
I suppose before it would get
It would,
into the
it
ground
would
or-
seep out under the snowbanks, or the ground wasn't quite frozen yet, so the ground's pretty warm, so it would take a long time. And so now when we have a January thaw, we can get ice back a lot quicker, and we'll skate further into March than before.
And I haven't been able to measure yet, but the amount of water we're saving with this is astronomical. Yeah, a lot of water. Anybody your skateboard? Heading out there as soon as spring thaw happens, jumping on your board? All right, very popular, and I have a longer story to this. I'm going to cut it short, but we had no skate park. About 2002, we built a wooden ramp skate park area. This was big for Lebanon, big for our whole region. It was the only one of its kind in the area at all within an hour. And life expectancy of 10 years, and 14 years later, we were able to, with a partnership with the Kirshner family, Buddy and Ginny Kirshner, who wanted to memorialize their son, who skated here a lot, we were able to build this beautiful concrete park that opened just 2 years ago. And we still have bigger plans to help light this for the evening time use. So again, another thing that really puts Lebanon not only on the map, but as a central player in recreational opportunities for our whole region. So, okay, let's move on. I don't want to camp out too long anywhere, although we'd love to. The pool, oh my gosh, anybody swim at the old pool? Well, Amy, that's good. This is the creation of the original pool, and we pulled this thing out of our closet, way back in that closet. This was an old 50-meter Olympic-sized pool, 50 meters long, big diving well, high dive that was there. And this is the new pool. That's an old pool still. No, this is construction, I'm sorry. This is all the befores. And coming up, we're going to see our new pool now. New bathhouse, the lifeguard house and bathhouse and pump room, and beautiful facility. The old pool had just a small little baby pool. I don't know if the water even circulated in there. I hope you held your breath.
Is that what happened? Never had to go in there.
Why did the water just get warmer? Okay, so this one's... Now we have a beautiful lap pool with a diving well, and this is our we call it our splash pool. So state-of-the-art facility. This is already 15 years old, 16 years old as a pool. So we have a lot of fun at this place. It takes a lot of our energy and effort to keep this place going well and programming as much as we do, but we hire about 20 lifeguard and desk staff every season, and although it's a short season, it's a tremendous amount of effort. The pause in the pool that we talked about going on here, that's our favorite dog picture of all time.
Hey, Paul, I think all the hiring's begun, right?
Hiring has begun, yes.
Yeah, so if anybody knows anybody, knows of kids or people that are looking for seasonal work, then everything's posted on the website, so.
Yep. How are we doing on time? We're running fast out of time.
Yeah.
How can we fly through this part?
We got this and we have,
Maybe
just
just
raise
explain the
hands.
ways we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that we constantly face is, well, how do you find out your information? How do you hear about what we have to offer? This is what we're doing every day, all the time. And things for us where it's free, Facebook, Instagram, Meetup, our own website. the city website, and then we get into other things where it's, you know, do we still do posters? Do we do direct mailing? Well, we have to buy that, you know, and then you have Valley News, which does all of our calendar events for free. So it's, how, out of a show of hands, how many look at Valley News for their info? How many go with Facebook? Whoa, Instagram? Whoa, what else is there? Lebanon Times? Okay, UV Daily? Occasionally. So it's mixed. What's your number one? Ooh, I can't hear.
For lab information?
Yeah, lab information.
Yeah, if you're gonna get,
City website.
City website.
You guys should also post, especially bigger events, to the vital communities
Yeah.
mailing list. I don't know if you do. There is a
The listserv?
The listserv,
Yeah,
yeah.
listserv.
oh, the listserv,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
food trucks went on there a couple times.
Yeah, so.
Listserv, thank you.
Listserv's long.
Yeah.
That, I think that's where I'm, like, we can do it. but-
Do you read the listservs on the weekend? The posts?
And there's a Lebanon specific listserv
Yes.
versus
Yep.
Yeah.
the.
For Valley.
We're Valley.
I just noticed that the weekend listserv list is a lot shorter than the weekday ones, so I wonder if we save some of this. What were you gonna say, Paula?
I was just gonna say that, like, with Lebanon News and, you know, creating your dashboard on the website, part of your task stuff, you can subscribe to Lebanon Recreation, and when an update comes, you're just gonna get it right to your inbox. You don't have to go searching for it, it'll come to you.
Or even a text message. That works too.
Can you break that down to like adult events versus kids events, et cetera, on the dashboard?
We haven't done that. There are a lot of different subscriptions you can get in there, but you can get announcements about how the ice rink conditions are, separate from other things. But as far as announcements for big events that are coming up, we can consider trying to break that down further.
I know it's more work, but.
I don't think that's okay.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thanks. We were gonna have you go around. That's what your smiley faces were for, was to go around and let us know where the different avenues that you like to get your information from. But okay, so we're gonna wrap up with this. This is you're familiar with this picture, and so we've already shared a bunch on our list over here. After our discussions that we've just gone over together, do you see anything else that's happening here? Any other benefits or any other anything else that sort of encapsulates what the purpose of Lebanon Recreation and Parks is, based on these photos? Community is happening here. Who is benefiting from this, from what's happening? So the easy answer is these youth, right?
Everyone.
And everyone. Okay, so break that down. Who do we see the youth benefiting? We might even see a coach who's benefiting. Who else is benefiting that we might not even see?
Parents know the kids are in a good place, you know.
Parents who aren't shown. Maybe they're in the periphery. And what are they doing while they're watching? Maybe. Peace and quiet. Some of them.
Go into the green light.
They're getting their own exercise. They're at a park themselves. Yeah. Maybe they're going elbow buddies with somebody else and they're chatting. I don't know if they're surfing, but yeah, they're making community themselves. Correct. Who else is not pictured? Who's receiving benefit from what's happening here?
All the other kids that aren't participating because they're in classes and other groups with these kids that have learned all of these important skills.
Oh, I've never even thought of that one. That's good. That's really
Direct.
good. So Karen said that kids who aren't pictured here, who are going to see these kids tomorrow in school, because these kids are learning some new skills today, and maybe they're chatting them up, or maybe they're sharing some of who they are as they develop their citizenship, and they can share that with their peers.
One thing I learned from listening to you is you're actually character building these kids.
Yes. Yes, I hope so. I hope that's a lot of what's happening, in particular this picture. Yeah, a coach sitting there talking with their kids. I'm going to wrap up by telling you, our senior citizens are benefiting from this. Not necessarily even because these are their grandkids, but similar to what was said about knowing where my kids are. These kids they're becoming our citizens of tomorrow. So even though a citizen might not ever set foot on this park or know these kids directly, they are benefiting because the citizens that are in these other, who are from our participants, is making all of our lives better here in community, as opposed to learning some other skill that we don't want them learning and sharing that with the broader community. There's economic activity that's happening here, right? We have, not only are we paying money to go to some places, but people are coming to our jamborees and our games, and what are they doing after they get done? I'm gonna fill up my gas tank, I'm gonna go grab a bite to eat, maybe I'm gonna go to State Line Sports and pick up a new set of cleats. All kinds of different things are gonna be happening here that help our community because recreation is happening, right? So there's economic driving forces that are going on here too.
I've been shocked at the variety of stuff that y'all offer. I had no idea, so.
Nice. Thanks.
Also health benefits to.
Health benefits, yes.
Keep the kids off the streets too.
That's right. That's right.
I was surprised Storrs Hill wasn't mentioned.
Good point. Storrs
I
Hill.
was thinking about it too.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of places that we didn't highlight in here. A lot of programs we have, but Storrs Hill is a big one. Again, a partnership. Lebanon Outing Club. Did you know? Storrs Hill as a ski area is run pretty much exclusively by Lebanon Outing Club, all volunteer based. So we own it as a city, as the ski hill, and we also have conservation lands immediately next to it with the trail system. But as far as you going over there and skiing, that's Lebanon Outing Club. Tremendous partnership. We would not be successful over there without them. What a gem to have, right, in the downtown area.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
The only 50-meter jump in the Northeast.
The only
Right here.
50-meter jump in the Northeast. Yep. So yeah, and lastly, I'm gonna build off of what was just said about the health benefits of this. As Rick is teaching kayaking skills or climbing skills, or as these kids think about playing soccer now, or as Chrissy and her counselors are building life lessons into our youth, and they're learning how to organize themselves to play a game or work out their differences, or as we even do something like an escape room and they're learning about teamwork. These are lifelong skills that if they move away from Lebanon or they stay here, to us, we're just building citizens who are going to be able to call upon these skills that we're helping impart on them for the rest of their lives. So I might move to a brand new city where I don't know people, but because I ran on a track team and I have some idea about the benefits of running, I can go out and start meeting people by joining maybe a local running club. If I never had that experience growing up, I'd be a lot more reluctant to do so. But from that, I personally I've been part of a really vibrant community here that I've come to love. So it's one example anyway. But that's the kind of goal that we have. And we're far from perfect. And so your ideas about how we can offer more programming, some of the ideas you've already given us tonight are really valuable to us. And we're not too proud to say that we love recommendations and we want to continue to grow and improve as a department. So to that end, when you hear about opportunities that we're trying to pursue to build a community center in town or some new ball fields, we hope you'll support us because we will hopefully be talking about that very soon. Are there any other last minute questions? We're going to skip our last activity too, I'm afraid, because we've really run out of time.
We're out.
And library, they're like ready to start.
Library's ready.
Right, yeah. We thank you so much for
Yes,
all your
thank you.
I wanted to thank you all for being here. It is approaching 7:45, and we were scheduled to go till 9, but with Chuck not being here, maybe that will give us the pretext.
That's totally up to you.
And a little early. So thank you for being here. I also want to thank Paula and Tina for doing everything that they've done too. So got your room set up and have done a great job running this program. So we thought that we would take you on a little tour of the Gilpin Library because we've been doing this, we've done this at least 2 times.
I think this is your fourth.
I think they're 14.
Fourth time. So we get feedback at the end of the program, and one thing that we heard over and over again last year was it would have been nice to get a tour of the library because Amy and I were looking around and we recognized a few faces that we knew, but there are plenty of faces we don't know here too, or maybe we know you and we don't know if you've been in the library. But we're going to take it on. The libraries aren't what they used to be. You can talk wherever you are in the library, so I'm not going to be whispering.
No.
So don't feel like you need to say, look at me like I should be talking a little lower. We are almost ready to close anyway, but it's not a quiet library. That's one of the first things we wanted to emphasize actually is, you know, we used to have people walking in with cell phones and we'd ask people to stop talking on their cell phones because especially years ago they would be very loud. We've kind of given in to just the cultural change and it's not the way it used to be. So feel free to
It's a
ask.
robust, active place,
Yeah.
you know, and we're mindful, and we'll show you, there's some places you can go quiet in the library, but in general, the librarians are sometimes the loudest people in the building, and we know that, so.
All right, let's take
Come
another
on
walk.
with us. So we're going out here, we should probably mention, so this room, which is our meeting room, these open and close, and so you can have a lot of light, you can have a little bit of light, you can have a private meeting, you can have an open meeting. There are lots of really neat functionalities in our buildings.
The community room is also accessible before we open, so we open at 10 o'clock most days and close at 8, Monday through Thursday. But most days, the room is available after hours, before we open and after as well.
Show them how that works.
Yeah.
So if you had a meeting that was happening, and we should tell you, all of our meetings, you can book through us, but you can also book them yourself online. Our booking calendar at leblibrary.com is going to show you whether a room's available or not. But say you had a meeting and it was happening before the library opened or after the library opened. Look at that. Oh, I won't really crush you all, but it slides all the way back and locks. And so you can have access to the building without having access to the library. And this room gets used all the time. I mean, it's really exciting. I sometimes think, where did people meet before this was here? But it's really a nice feature. We have other meeting rooms we're going to show you that you do need to be here when we're open. But this one, you can book any time, as long as there's a custodian in the building. But the booking module tells you that.
So if you have a nonprofit group that you're a member of that needs a space,
Yep.
you could just go right online and book that space or the other ones we'll show you along the walk.
There are fees if you're a for-profit group too. You can use it. But if you're a nonprofit group, it's totally free. You'll also notice you're passing our coffee bar. It is no longer the library where you can't eat or drink in our library. For years it was. We waited for the horrors to happen, and they really never have. You know, we were always afraid of people spilling things and crumbs everywhere, and for the most part, people are pretty good about cleaning up after themselves. So you can now, we offer you coffee for $1. Ah, where's the light? Where is the light for the stained glass? Right here, isn't it? Or is that the
I
entry?
think it's actually over
I've only
here.
worked here for how many years? I still don't know where the lights are for. Ah, there we go.
There we go.
So some of you may know, but if you've moved here recently, it's hard to see in the dark, but diagonally from this building, there's a smaller, it's not a small building, but it's smaller than this, a brick building that was the West Lebanon Library, and that building also was built in 1909, I believe. So when we moved to this, it had some issues as a library by 2010. So when we built this building, there were some things that we were all sad to lose in the other building. One thing I was not sad to lose, actually, originally, was the stained glass. It was up on the second floor, and it was really dirty, and it was fluorescent lighting, and when I heard that was going to be coming over to the new building, as a nod to the old one, I was like, oh, God, really? But why? I really thought, okay. But then the Dameron family in town donated the funds to have this. They sent it out, they had it cleaned up, and the architect was able to put it in here, and it offers a little color. We have a lot of neutrals here. And once it was cleaned up, I got it. They had much more vision than I did. And now it's really one of my favorite features of the building. I think it's beautiful, and I'm so glad it could come over with us. And we have it lit too, so.
And sometimes the sunlight's coming in through we have glass that's up on the walls there, and the sun will come through and hit the stained glass. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah,
It's really beautiful.
it's just a really neat feature. The other thing about it is behind us is our teen room. And one thing that it does is it gives the teens sort of a sense that they have a little bit of privacy, and yet we actually have sight lines to see them and hear them and know what they're doing, which is usually pretty good stuff. They're fine. But it does give us, it gives us a little bit of, it's not quite as private as they might think.
Can I
Yeah.
highlight one more
Oh
thing
my
too?
gosh, please.
So this project of bringing the stained glass back to the way it was, and there are layers of glass in here that make it so beautiful. It's they don't make the glass like that anymore. It was all privately funded, and that was just part of a larger effort to build this building with private funds. And so this was a $6 million project, and $4 million of it was non-taxpayer funds. So the original $1.3 million from the Kiltons, the Dickies gave $250,000. A significant amount of money was given by all the people on this list for this project, so a lot of money. People love the libraries.
Yeah, we do too. So this way, our next room is the children's room. I was the children's librarian when this was built, and so I'm partial to it. You will notice we're going into the dark room because there are sensors, supposedly. Oh, there we go. See, we came in and the lights went on. That's part of, as I mentioned, that we're LEED Platinum certified, and part of it is that our lights are all on sensors, and we're not wasting a lot of electricity while we're in here. This room also during the day is almost completely, there are times we don't even turn the lights on. It's just, the natural light in here is so beautiful, and it's really neat to be in here during a snowstorm. It's almost like being in an inverse snow globe. You feel like you're inside of a snow globe, but, or somehow. Anyway. Children's room we'll walk through. One thing we thought about when we designed this building was, especially with different reading levels, teens and children, like where's that level? Where do you become a teen reader? And sometimes we have teens who are really still and totally fine, but they're reading out of the children's room. And this was almost designed to be a little secret passageway, so you could get into the children's room and get yourself back in with the cool kids equally, quickly before anyone saw. So it's really a joint effort here. Our teen room at our Lebanon library, well, let everybody come in. This is the teen room at the Kilton Library. This gets used. It does not get as used as heavily. Our Lebanon Library is much closer to the middle school. And when I say teens, the teens who tend to use our teen areas are our middle schoolers. A lot of times by the time they're in high school, they're using the adult collection as much as anything else. But the ones who kind of hang out with us tend to be the younger teens. So the teen room in Lebanon just gets more use because of its location being close to the middle school. You can actually at Lebanon, I think you can feel the vibrations when it's 2:30. You know it's 2:30 because the kids are here, and that's great and that's fun. We did just hire, our most recent hire in the libraries is a new teen librarian. Our teen librarian who had been here for many years, Suzanne Cortez, retired last year. And we have a teen librarian who's just started, and she's very interested in making this a more active space, whether it's through some makerspace programming, or I think she has something, 3D printing thing planned. So to use this in a different way, but also to get the teens in Lebanon into this space too. So that's coming up. We've done some Scribblebot programming and other fun stuff. Let Sean take over. We'll go this way, we'll take a look. We have, so I said we have 3 meeting rooms in this space. We also have a meeting room at Lebanon you can use. We're in the largest meeting room, in the community room. There's also a conference room, and we'll take a look in here. You don't have to come in, but I'll turn the lights on. This is a space anybody can use. It seats 12, but you don't have to have 12 to use it. Often people like to come in and study here, and they're welcome to book it for smaller numbers. Did you have anything you want to add
Nope.
about this space?
Oh, but we do have another room, a tutorial room, which seats about 5 people. That is actually walk in that direction.
Yeah. Well, we'll go this way, and you can see
Right.
more of our energy efficiency. When I've given tours to kids from Mount Lebanon, one of their favorite things to do is to run down here because the lights turn on. They also like to sit on the floor because we have radiant heat, and often the floors are warm, but we won't do that now. We'll just go this way.
What's in the cabinets of the,
An excellent question.
Some historical materials are in there. So another thing you'll notice, these shades actually probably should not be down right now, but in the summertime when it's hot, these shades will, if they're set correctly, drop down and stop the sunlight from coming in and heating the space. So there are a lot of features here in the building that are energy efficient, and that's just one of them right here.
Yeah. Then we have a smaller group study area room for our tutorial room, but again, anybody. So sometimes it is loud here, and people just want a quiet space. It's very quiet when you go in there and can shut a door, and anybody who's here can use that space. Oh, I think actually we're going to go through that one in a minute. Yeah, we're going to go through there. Let's get everyone this way. I feel like the people in the back are probably missing some of it. I was going to tell them about our computers and what they have. So we have, in the center of the room, you'll see we have 8 desktop computers that people can use while they're here. We also, if you go to our desk, we have 14 Chromebooks. So you don't have to be, if you want to be on a desktop in the middle of the room, you can. But if you'd rather be in a comfy chair in the back or in a comfy chair in the children's room, we have the Chromebooks that anybody can borrow while they're here. You do not need to have a library card to borrow the Chromebook while you're in our building. And they are very, very popular. We do now have, you do need a library card if you want to take one out of the building. We have
20?
I think we have 20 short-term Chromebooks that people can borrow for up to 3 weeks at a time. We have, I want to say about 12 Dell computers, laptops, that people can borrow for up to 3 months at a time. We found there were students in our schools who didn't necessarily have a computer at home, or people taking a course, or whatever, your computer breaks and you want one to go home. We got them through a grant. We had some programming and some Arduino computer programming, and part of that was we were given these 12 Dell laptops, but once that program is over, what do we do with these Dell laptops? So we let them go out. Our IT librarian is often thinking about how to bridge our digital divide here in Lebanon and in the community, and so we didn't know if they would go out. They're always out.
There's always a list
There's
of
always a
plans.
list of people. But then you have the problem, okay, so I take my Chromebook home or I take my laptop home, but so what do I go to the library to use their Wi-Fi, or do I go to Panera or McDonald's? Like, where am I getting that Wi-Fi? So we now have 20 hotspots. So you can borrow a hotspot for 3 weeks at a time and take it home, or a lot of people have been using them for trips. If you're going somewhere and you find the hotel Wi-Fi doesn't always work for you, you can borrow one of our Wi-Fi hotspots for 3 weeks at a time. there's always a waiting list, but we have 20 of them, so they turn over pretty quickly.
And much like Paul in rec department, we have our own foundation. You have a friends group, correct?
Right.
We have a foundation, and that allows us to get things at a reduced cost. And so the plan for our hotspots, which provide great service, is costing us, I believe it's $10 a month per hotspot. So
Yeah.
costing us about $2,400 a year for 20 hotspots to be able to circulate among the public. And we have people who don't have access to the internet at home still in Lebanon. There are a good number of people, and so, or people who are finding it convenient because they're on a trip and they have wireless at home,
Or
but
they
they
can
don't
use it
have
in
a
their
data.
car, right? Yeah,
Don't
I've
have
had-
a,
yeah.
Or don't have a data plan on their cell phone, so they take it on a trip and use it there. So
As long
it's
as you're
been very popular.
As long as you're near Sprint, it runs on Sprint wireless service. We have found people who came back, they were hoping to use it on the Dartmouth coach. If you've ever taken the Dartmouth coach and you found their Wi-Fi access to be spotty, unfortunately, it does not solve the problem because their Wi-Fi is also run through the Sprint. So.
So you mentioned taking it for trips. Does that mean you can reserve them for specific times?
Unfortunately, you can't, so you
No.
have to kind of hope.
That's coming up at our next trustees meeting, though.
Yeah.
Because trustees have asked that question.
Lots of people have, and we just, it's more of a matter of us trying to figure out how to schedule that. Although we do it with other things. We do it with museum passes and we do it with our telescope, where you can, if you know something's gonna be happening, you want the telescope. Speaking of, I am standing in front of, and you are standing in front of, you're standing in front of a
Paul was
telescope.
browsing our
Is Paul
cool stuff
browsing?
collection.
Yeah.
I'm always
This is
excited
our-
about the cool stuff.
And there's a handout there because often some of the cooler stuff is not always on display because it's out to our patrons. But this is our cool stuff collection, and we attended a conference, the New England Library Association conference, a few years ago, and saw a presentation about it. And then thought, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we for years I think there are libraries that have like interesting cake pans, and knitting needles has always been a popular one at libraries. But the presentation we saw expanded on that. And we'd already had our telescope, so we were already thinking, and we had an energy saver
That was about
kilowatt
it.
meter, right?
Yeah.
That was all we had.
Yeah.
So we have all sorts of stuff that you can borrow for, again, up to 3 weeks and keep it if nobody's waiting
So
for
this
it.
stuff is, all the cool stuff is borrowable?
Oh my gosh, we want you to take it home.
We would
I mean, we have everything. So we have games. We try to think of some, well, they're out, but we have games that might be more expensive and you're not sure you want to buy them, but you want to try them out. I think Settlers of Catan is one of them. We have croquet, we have badminton. You're going to have a barbecue, and I don't know. I have been suckered into buying some yard games that never get played again. So you can take it. We also have things like, this is the GPS, the handheld GPS navigator. We have an endoscopy camera, so if you want to see down your chimney, I guess.
One of our city councilors use that, actually.
Yeah, there's a trail camera, there's a digital microscope, we have portable DVD players, we have a thermal camera. Yeah, we do have a thermal camera. What else do we have?
Did you check that out?
Have you?
Oh, I'm not supposed to ask that question.
Yeah, we have ukuleles, we have a sewing machine, we have a serger. It looks like those might be out right now. Yeah, and they may be out. We have an electric power washer. So,
Yes, that's been very popular.
yeah, and the sewing machine's super popular too. If you sew a lot, you have a sewing machine. But if you need to make a costume on the fly, you might not, or hem some pants or whatever. So anyway, bocce, and we're always looking for new suggestions of, the thought is it's something you don't need all the time. But we, yeah.
I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
I was gonna say, and nothing too dangerous. We have had people ask for extension ladders, and we're not trying to get into Home Depot's area. Someone asked for a Sawzall, we're like, oh, that could go wrong.
IT librarian wanted us to get a
There are libraries that lend out, literally have collections of thousands of schools.
Yes.
We've thought about
And they
that.
are braver than we are. And we're gonna talk about that. We'll have to,
Postal
yeah,
digger.
yeah.
How often
yeah.
you don't need something like that, right?
Yeah, we're not opposed to it, but
So,
yeah.
much like the rinks for the rec department, we had a $30,000 grant from the Byrne Foundation. That was, some of that money went towards this collection.
Quite a
So
bit of
2
it.
years
I
in a
mean,
row. Yep.
I don't mean that. I mean, because that went to a lot of different things, but most of this was funded by that, is what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had another donor give money towards the puzzles and games. So
Yeah.
about $1,000. So
Yeah.
mainly foundation funded. So.
Yep.
Yes, okay.
Great.
In the back?
In the back, yeah, so now you're gonna get to see what most people don't get to see. This is where all the magic happens. It's like Christmas every day back here. This is where all the things we order come before we get them ready to bring out here. And it's awfully fun. So come on back.
So these tools or these.
What's it?
These cool stuff.
Yeah.
Is that on a list somewhere?
Yeah, it's right out there. We can get those for you and bring them in. It's on one of the tables, so we'll bring it in. So come on through. This is so literally the boxes come in here. We open them up. They get put in here. They get put in here where we sort them. Right, we have some orders coming in. We don't have a lot back here right now, but they get sorted and then they get put on that cart. They get covers put on them, they get barcodes put on them, they go over here and they get cataloged, so they get entered into our computer so that you can find out what we have. And there's also staff office space back here. The staff room. We have a kitchen. And we're back where we started.
So the other day, I was with pulled my kids at a choral rehearsal, and I was speaking with somebody who's a local attorney in town named Bernie Law. And so, as people will do since I'm a librarian, he approached me about the library, and he said, really just apropos, don't think he came up to me and he said, you know, I was talking to my wife the other day, and we were debating about the future of libraries, and whether or not they'll still exist in the future. No, he was on the side of yes, they will. I understand it that he and his wife were debating the future of the book. And people still think of the book as the foundation of the library. So he thought they would continue on, she did not. I found it intriguing, and since there were a number of kids in the room, I approached one of them and I said, so do you still, she's about 11 years old, do you still read print books? And she said, yes, she did. And it turned out her older brother, her mom came over, and who I know as well, came over and said, oh, Twyla's older brother is actually doing a paper on the future of libraries. So this seems to be a topic that's coming up. Are they going to exist? We get that question off a lot. Actually, our IT librarian, who we keep referring to, he has a few kids, and when his wife was in the Burley Pavilion at Dartmouth Hitchcock, at one point the nurse asked him what his profession was, and he said, oh, I'm a librarian, and she immediately expressed concern and said, you know, you're in a dying profession. What are you going to do? You have a little baby here. So,
can I throw in a number? No. I just wanted to throw my, I'm sorry, I went to grab some handouts, so I missed what you said, but I assume you're talking about the possible death of the book or people's anxiety over it. Last year, between the two libraries, we circulated in terms of physical items. So these are items, some of them, yes, are the electric pressure washer, and some are DVDs, and some are audiobooks, but most of them are books. We circulated over 125,000 items to all of you. So, I don't, it was just actually more than we circulated the year before. There was growth, and that doesn't include our e-books and our downloadable books and our movies we stream. So that's just the physical.
Is that unique different items, or is that the number of loans you did?
No, you're correct. That is yes. We don't have that many unique items.
I'm curious
thank you.
what
No, I
that's
said that.
question. So that's the number of items circulate, number of loans in circulation.
Correct. It could have been yes, one book
yeah.
that people really liked. You're right. Yeah. I always thought I should warn you. I am much sharper at 10 o'clock in the morning. I am a morning person. So yeah, feel free to have me elaborate. Go on, Sean.
Yes. So I wanted to pose a question to you, because the last time, a couple times that we've done this is mainly been us talking, not giving a tour. So when I was actually putting this presentation together and Amy and I were reviewing it, she looked at the back and said, hey, this slide is not complete. Sean, did you forget to finish this? And I said, well, actually, I'm looking for the group. to answer this question. So what do you feel are the most important things the library does?
I gotta stop there. If you go talk amongst yourselves. There we go.
There we go.
I thought I could take in your slide, but I can't.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Ooh,
Oh, see?
thanks. All right, maybe we won't be able to recover.
Let's just talk.
Record this. Yeah, let's just talk. So I'd like to hear some other opinions on what do you think.
I think it gives people an opportunity to get to technology that maybe they don't have the money for, or don't have the ability to get to right now.
Yeah.
There's a big technology wall down.
Yes.
There is.
Well, as we were walking around,
Saw it.
we didn't really see many people in the stacks grabbing books, but there were people on the computers before we closed, so it's good. We saw it.
In my case, the library helped me to learn a new language and also engage the community with the garden,
Gardens.
the community garden. That was awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, can you continue?
Yes. So,
It's a good place for meetings, for small groups, for big groups.
Yeah, I heard a couple people as we were walking around say that they'd used some of the meeting spaces that we have.
Yes.
so.
And the online reservation system.
Yes.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yes.
Online registrations is great.
We like it too.
I just retired last year, but for the last 10 years, I've been traveling every week in the car to Massachusetts, so that's how I read books on CD. And my husband would come down here, and he would bring one home. When I finished one, he would come get another one, and sort of surprised me. It was always,
Aw.
what am I gonna read next, It was a huge help. That kept me awake, and it kept me being able to read books without having the time to sit down and really read a book.
Yeah, audiobooks are gaining in popularity because people are realizing, if you're doing another activity, you're cleaning, you're cooking, you're doing whatever, you can listen as you
We
do
have
that
a
other
friend
task.
who just got ataxia, I don't even know what it was, but, so he can't see very well anymore, and he can't speak, he's, very handicapped now. And I had bought some books on CD, that's one thing he can do, and they're going to the library weekly and bringing him new things that he can listen to, so.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, you've served that purpose for a long time. I remember there was a woman when I first started who every Monday would come in and she needed somebody to go, just to be able to see the titles for the audiobooks for large print.
And then, I was talking to a friend in Nashville today, we retired at the same time, and I sent her a list of the 100 top movies of all time, because she was a nurse, never had time to watch movies, and she said she went and got 11 movies on the list, from her
Great.
library,
Wow.
so,
That's great.
there's so many things you can do that, other than just sitting down and reading a book, let you keep reading or.
And continuing on regarding audiobooks, if any of you have little kids or their grandkids who come to visit you, and they're too young to read on their own, at a very young age, they will be entranced by listening to an audiobook, even for written for a child a couple of grades above where they are, and just, if you want them to be doing something that you think is a worthwhile pursuit, and listening to the story for a couple hours rather than running amok, it can be really a great thing to do. I have 4 kids, so I think that's.
I don't know if it's applicable here, but, I'm sorry. My sister lives in an area where there's not a lot of safe places for kids to go, and so it really provides a safe place for kids to go after school.
Yeah.
It's free too, you don't have to buy a cup of coffee to hang out.
No.
Yeah.
So you're saying the things that I have written down in my notes.
I would say overall, and what it sounds like, it's basically affordable access to shared resources. And that's not just books, that's information,
Yeah.
which is the traditional, but it's now libraries are all sorts of resources. And they're basically a place to build community and a community resource.
That's our hope.
So I know Paul was talking earlier about hoping to do a community center. Libraries are a mini version, maybe without the recreational facilities, but they are essentially a community center, a place to build community.
Well, when I heard Paul speak, at the end there, he talked about community, and that's really what we all do, right? And that's why we love the rec department so much, because we have this shared goal. That's what we're trying to do every day, is just make Lebanon a better place to live and provide a space for whatever you want it to be. And libraries have shifted, I mean, for sure, you know, we are loud, we are robust, we have activity, we have a garden, you know, we have these things going on that maybe wouldn't have fit into the picture of a library 50 years ago. That's an odd thing for the library to be doing, but it's just who we are now, yeah.
And who was it that said that it's a safe space?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, when I've talked to some of our board members, we have two boards of trustees who are the governing board of the library and the foundation board. Some people, it's not really readily apparent at first why they're on either board. And so I've had two conversations with some of our foundation members, and when I asked them, because they didn't come in typically to our books, I asked them, why did they dedicate their time? Because there's a significant amount of time involved in being on either board. And the first gentleman told me, he had a really interesting story, I didn't know any of this history at all. He actually got all the way to college before he learned to read. So he was in school, he was on a football team for a big state college. And the first person who noticed that he couldn't read was his coach. And his coach pulled him aside and he said, you know, I know you're really struggling, I know why you are. And so that's the person who actually got him to get to a point where he learned how to read when he was late teens or early 20s. He was, when he was a kid, a library user though, and he didn't read books, obviously, but he would go in because things were not so good at home during the day, and he would go to the library. You go to the library during the day just to look at the pictures of books, because that was a safe place to be. The librarian treated him really well. That and the fireman, he said he was close to the fireman in his town too. So. And then another gentleman too, who actually still helps us do the books for the foundation. He said, you know, when his kids were young, it was very important that they have a safe place to be. He doesn't need to use the library. He has the means to buy all the books that he wants to, but it was important to him, and so he gave his time as our treasurer for years, and now still does the books that are really great for us. So I love to hear those stories because this job has a lot of meaning for me. I think it does for Amy as well. You see kids who are really in need, or people from all parts of society who are really in need in very many different ways. And other professions that you choose don't give you the same options to help people in the way that we can here. Just by sometimes being here and listening to people and doing what we can to help them.
No, and I think that for me, you know, people say, well, what do you do all day? And or what does the deputy director do? And there's a lot, or what do librarians do these days? And there's an awful lot that we do all day. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say I never go home without feeling like I can't help somebody in some way. And maybe I've just helped them by not making their life harder for the day, right? You know, I mean, we have people here, and if we gave them a nice, comfortable chair to sit in for the day, and a quiet, clean place to be, a place they could sit and read their newspaper, or not, you know, then I've helped in my own way by like not making whatever they're going through harder. But most of the time, it's a more of an active way of helping, whether I've helped someone fill out their employment form, or figure out how to look at the pictures of their grandchildren on Facebook that they know are there, but they weren't sure how to get on. And you know, it's big and small ways. I think that it's very gratifying. It's a fun job. You meet a lot of people, but you also get to help people, and it's pretty cool.
Building community.
Yeah, I mean, it really is.
I'm so glad that Paul ended his talk on that, because in discussing, a number of you brought this up, the fact that we are here for the community for so many different reasons, connecting people, they have meetings here. That is somewhat lacking in the country now. If you talk to people who are involved in, especially groups that are focused on, don't really have a more narrow focus on what they're doing. Our foundation's doing a great job. Actually, Phil Bush right here is our treasurer for the foundation. But Rotary groups are not attracting the number of people that they used to. Fire departments are not finding volunteers like they used to. 200 years ago. The reason why I have the book titles up on the screen here is a couple hundred years ago when Alexis de Tocqueville came to the United States from France, one of the things that he really recognized in America and kind of marveled at was the spirit of volunteerism that we have in this country. And he thought it was something that really made this country special because people were willing to come together, form groups just to better society in many different ways. And that didn't exist in other countries. And it's not as strong as it used to be today. This is actually a book that's on I think it's on order right now.
It is, yeah.
On order, you can read it if you'd like, but I get to have it first. So I requested it. I wouldn't be a good librarian if I did a presentation without recommending some books. This was written by a gentleman who used to be in the World Bank and was the kind of like the Ben Bernanke, I forget who's in the position now, of India. It's written some really well-regarded books about the world economy and the state of. This is about why populist movements are really great, gaining traction all over the world. Feels like I haven't read the book yet, so I can't tell you exactly what he comes to as far as the conclusion. I heard him on, I believe it was Marketplace. But he says that people are feeling, even with all the social media connections we have, they're just not feeling like they're part of a community locally often. You know, you feel fragmented. You may be connected to somebody you don't know half a world away, but you don't know your neighbors as well as maybe people did 50 years ago. You hear those kind of stories all the time. So that's one thing that we're trying to combat, or we're trying to bring people together here at the library. And one way in which we do so is actually, Diana just mentioned it, is with the community gardens. So we built the community gardens over the last few years. One of our employees, Maria Ortiz, encouraged other people who were recent immigrants to also participate. And I think you could probably say that out of that came the Talking Bridge group.
The Talking Bridge, yeah.
So the Talking Bridge was, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Well, the Talking Bridge was an idea that I brought to Maria because suddenly our teacher in the ESL program, she was going to retire, and I told her, we don't have a teacher. I don't know how I'm gonna practice my English. So she thinks this idea, and she talked with Judith, his wife, and suddenly the first day was 20 people here, among volunteers and immigrants that they want to practice their English. So it's a success. Right now.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's just blossomed, right? It's taken off. It's here every Monday night. People who want to come together with the common purpose of practicing English, but in doing so, it has really built community.
Oh, yeah.
We've had public dinners, and there's a garden plot that people use, and making people who sometimes can feel a little bit isolated in a new community feel like they have a place to be, while also getting the benefit of practicing English. I don't know if you want to say more about it, but it's a really neat program.
Every Monday Marsha bring a new topic, and for immigrants it's good practice, and because they have confidence to start to talk, and because we are at the beginning I was so shy that I don't want to talk, but then when you connect with people, the volunteers are amazing, and it's amazing for me that no volunteer that they have free time to share with you and practice with you. And also I have Shaina, she wants to speak in Spanish, so we share.
Yeah.
So you can tell me in Spanish and you can tell me in English, so it's perfect.
And what I love about your story is it started by your saying, I said, oh no, like what are we gonna do? How, you know, and how we need this program. And then you went to Maria and Maria and Judith got together, and it's just like, it happened, you know? I mean, there's a space here, and it's for whatever you need it to be. We're here to develop that community, and that's what's taken off. But
we want diversity in the Upper Valley. And if you're going to keep people from Columbia in New Hampshire, You have to give them a reason to stay. They don't like the cold. My oldest daughter's best friend is from Peru, and she has a really hard time this time of year. So
Every so often, they have a potluck at it too,
Oh, yeah.
and some of the food that comes.
For every
from all
different
over the
country.
world.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's really good.
So I'm going to talk about our staff a little bit first. Staff and volunteers are going to be something I'll touch on a little bit. So our staff are here to help you. So we have, you saw the desks which we just merged together. We used to have them split up. Now they're together. One staff member generally helps you check in and out and everything. So helps you find a title really quickly. Arlene here is functioning as our reference librarian. So think of it, the reference librarian as like the kid in your family, your cousin, the grandkid who's like 10 years old. When you want to find out how to do something, especially with technology, they can do it, and you're like, how did you do that? You're a whiz. That's what our reference librarians are. So if you're having a problem with like the downloadable version of audiobooks, and people often will come in with their devices and say, I just want to listen to this title and it's on here, but it won't play. You know, we're there to help out with that kind of thing. Oftentimes, people will come in and it's not like it used to be. You know, when I was in high school, if you wanted to get a job at Kmart, you went in and you gave you a paper application, you filled it out there. Oftentimes these days, what these companies are doing is they're using that application process as a way to weed out people who don't know how to use tech, computers, and that's often people who are older. And so those folks, they will tell the people if they don't have a computer or the internet, they'll say to them, we'll go down to the library and do that. And they'll often not have, I'm not saying this as often as we used to, but they often won't have skills to use a mouse even. So we'll sit down with them, work with them, get them to their forms filled out. And usually when you sit down with them just for a few minutes and show them how to work the computer, people pick it up pretty quickly. But if they need help as they're going along, we're there to help. So,
We answer low-tech questions too. I've had people bring me bugs and bags. What is this? I've had people show me their rashes. I'd rather, So we try to get them to a doctor, but yeah.
the question I love the most is that it happens, had it maybe 3 or 4 times over the 16 years I've been here. I want to get a tattoo and I'm looking for this. And they'll tell you they want to get like a snake or something. And find it online and then getting it printed out.
Yeah,
Sometimes they'll get it printed out and
me
they'll be, there's one guy, there were 2 guys who were here and they're trying to figure out if it would fit on his arm. So they're doing the view and like, Chuck had to get involved with this. Putting the arm up against the one guy was grabbing the one guy's arm and putting it up against the screen. Nope, needs to be bigger. Try to toggle it a little bit and then finally the guy figured it out. They printed it out, boom, they were done. Thanks, Sean.
Did he show it to us? Did he bring it back to work?
I saw a book about tattoos back
Oh, yes.
in
Yeah, what did you?
I thought, oh, that's
There we
it.
go, so we have a printer resource for that now too. But one of the things that we do quite a bit, and Arlene, who you saw in that picture, is a lot of social services work. And Paula actually used to be in that department. I know your mother was the head of human services, right, for years.
25 years.
It's a very small department. It's what, 1.5 employees, so 1 full-time and then 1 half-time, covers Lebanon and also is Enfield as well.
Nope, just
Just
Lebanon.
Lebanon. So kind of on a shoestring budget, often not there if you try to call, but we'll have people who come in because they're busy, you know.
Yeah, they're busy, right, yeah.
So if we have somebody who comes in and needs some help, I did just call them the other day when we had a couple of gentlemen who came in who were senior citizens and they needed to get down to Springfield, Vermont. They got set up by some social services agency to stay overnight at the Haven, I believe it was. They needed to get back to Springfield and didn't know how to do so. They didn't have a car. One of the gentlemen was blind. And so Arlene spent about an hour trying to figure out how do we do this. So we called Human Services. I talked to Lynn. She recommended Tri-County CAP. Darlene made a call to there, got voicemail. Finally, we figured out there was a place that was over the river on the Vermont side, just to the right, over across where the Wilson Center is now. And they needed to get from here to there walking. They were a little worried because it's kind of, it was a little icy on the sidewalks, and one gentleman was blind. And kind of this special moment, one of my favorite moments the last few weeks, one of our young kids, about 10 or 11 years old, has been a little rambunctious lately, said, oh, I'll help out, and volunteered to walk the guys down to at least to the light, I think, so. That's a lot of what we do. And the reason why I have this book up on the screen is if you get a chance to read this book by Susan Orlean, she's a great writer. I've had a lot of people recommend this book to me. I got it from my wife for Christmas, actually, and she loved it. What it does talk a lot about is the fact that we do a lot of social services work at the libraries. This is about the Los Angeles libraries in the 1980s. There was a fire there, but it also discusses a lot about the fact that librarians are often helping people out who have the needs, like I just discussed.
Yeah. She's researching the library now, so it's the present day, but then she goes back and forth. It's really very interesting, and I've had a lot of people have read it. This is what you do all day? Yeah, it is, but it's always different. It's always interesting. So.
This is my last slide. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have that's right.
Don't get excited, you're going nowhere.
We have plenty of time here. So we do have two boards. We have the Library Board of Trustees and the Library Foundation. And so the Board of Trustees is elected. There are 7 board members who are go through the same process as the city councilors or the school board. And they actually, as the governing board, get to make a lot of the decisions that typically the council would make or the city manager would make. And so they hire and fire library employees. They can set policies. And the reason why they're given this autonomy is a long time ago at the state level, there was some recognition that the board should be able to make these decisions because they wanted intellectual freedom to be important in public libraries in New Hampshire because it was important for civil society that people had access to information. And so they wanted the power, the ability to say, well, maybe we shouldn't have this book on the shelf to be decided not by a mayor or a city manager or a city council, but by an elected board of trustees who they assumed would have more interest and maybe knowledge too about how things should be handled in situations and when a person does say, I don't want that in your team, which we have had happen. And somebody challenged one of our books at the London Library and said, this is says content not appropriate for the age group, and if you don't pull that from your shelf, we're going to photocopy pages from this book and go next door to the post office and show them and talk about like passages in the book. So you better do what I want you to do. Every single one of our trustees read the book and met with the person who's asking us to do that. We decided to keep the book on the shelves. And we're currently actually facing, and you may have read this in the Valley News, we are studying whether or not to filter our internet because there's been a request for us to do so because there was an allegation made that a student was looking at pornography at the London Library. It was later determined by the person who brought this forward to us that he thinks it actually didn't happen, but still wants us to filter. So there's a committee that's looking at that will bring their information to the Board of Trustees that will then decide whether or not we filter our computers, which would deny access to information for everybody in the library because it'd be almost impossible to just hand a computer to somebody. It'd be very difficult logistically, if not impossible, for us to filter for the kids and not for adults. But we're looking at maybe ways we can address the
we are taking it very seriously. I mean, I think we can all There's a base level where none of us want children or anyone else to look at pornography in the library or anywhere else. So we're just looking at ways to do that without denying others access to information, right?
Well, if you like to deal with these thorny issues.
What?
But if you like to deal with these thorny issues,
Yeah.
volunteer, put your name in for the board of trustees if there's a vacancy. You can run, you're all Lebanon residents. It's not dull, and our meetings are very quick. Our trustees meeting the other night was 33 minutes. So. Our library foundation, of whom Phil is a member, has been around since about 2006. Again, raised a ton of money for this Gilman Library. Is in the process of raising money for renovation of the Lebanon Library, which is a little tired. Needs some TLC, and we're still trying to determine how much that project is going to cost. But we have a lot of people, again, talking about community, a lot of people who volunteered their time to help us attain that goal. Because if we can raise money, non-taxpayer funds, from corporations in town, from wealthy individuals, that will help keep the tax burden down for everybody in this room. And still help us attain our goal of bettering the library or something. Did you want to?
Yeah, and in between the big campaign to build this building and the upcoming campaign for the renovations to the Lebanon Library, every year there's an annual drive to raise money to support the library, and that goes specifically to acquisitions. I don't know if it's all books, but books and other acquisitions. So that's an important function.
Cool stuff.
What's that?
Cool stuff sometimes.
Cool stuff. The Library Foundation is, there are, I think, 2 members terming out. Is that right?
It was just one.
Just one?
No, I'm sorry, you're right, 2.
2, and we have actually other vacancies on the board. Our annual meeting is in May, and we are looking for board members for the Library Foundation. So if any of you are interested or know people who might be interested, we need some more help.
And how often does the foundation meet?
It meets, thank you, that was in my notes.
Oh, okay. I'm setting you up a little bit, yeah.
It meets 6 times a year, every 2 months. There are a couple committees that may have to meet, they don't meet as often. There's an investment committee, so because we do have some funds that we invest and have a long-term goal of building that endowment. Actually, I think we want to get through the capital campaign for the renovations first, but then we're going to start building our endowment. So we need help.
All right. And we did say we would try to wrap up before 9, well, I'll try my best. I'm going to go through these quickly for you, and then you can come back in and ask a few questions about what we do. But it does all start at library.com. If you want to see what we have going on online, you can do a variety of things from your home without even coming into the building, although we hope you would. You can start, if you don't have a library card, you can do that by coming into the library, but you also can start the process online and then come in and tell us you started it online, and it's just a matter of us giving you the card at that point. You can look at our catalog, see what we have. We are always happy if you go into our catalog and you see that we don't have what you are looking for. It makes me very sad when people, well, you probably wouldn't have this, or I saw you didn't have this, so I don't know, we left. This is your library. It's not our library, it's your library. And so we really do work very hard to make sure we have what you want in our collection. So anytime you're looking for something, it may not be something we can purchase. Perhaps it's an older book, or it's, for whatever reason, our selectors decided it's not something that would fit in the library at this time. But we can get it from other libraries for you. We have a great interlibrary loan process here. And so if we're not gonna buy it, we'll get it from somewhere else for you. Occasionally there are things like textbooks or things like that, some really obscure rare books that we cannot get for you. But for the most part, we have a very high fill rate and we're able to get what you're looking for. And a lot of times, we'll go ahead and purchase it. You know, we really do want this to be your library. You can go into your own account, you can see what you have out, you can renew items in there, place a hold and view your own holds to see where you are on the waiting list. I believe the Michelle Obama's Becoming is the highest amount of holds. The last I looked, I think there were 26 holds on that. We do have 3 copies. Probably not going to buy a 4th. It's one of those things that's super popular and then it's not ready, you know, in a few years. So, but we have 3 copies, so those holds will go quickly. We have all sorts of databases, some of them that you can access in the library, some of them you can access also at home. EBSCOhost. If you come in here and you might say, gosh, remember all those magazines? I remember when I was a kid, I came to the library and they had, you know, rooms of, we do have current periodicals here, but we don't have necessarily the 1956 Time magazine that you're looking for. However, we do have these databases and EBSCO is the one to do that for you. We can show you how you can bring up PDFs. I mean, you can look at the article. It's online for many things, including things like Consumer Report. They told you after 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, gone, but Consumer Report, you can see the current issue of that or a past issue. It's all very searchable, and we can show you how to do that. We have a neat little database called Novelist, which is reader's advisory. So you're like, I love the Louise Penny mysteries, but I've read them all. What do I read next? And Novelist, you know, you can put in the Louise Penny mysteries, and then, well, what do you like about them? Do you like that it's do you like that it takes place in Canada? Do you like that it's about a community? It tells you like all the things you might like about them and things you don't, and then it comes up with a list of other things you would like to read. Librarians will do that for you too, by the way. And then Ancestry.com is a really great, if you're at all interested in searching through your genealogy. I'm going to show you a little bit more about what we have a few slides from now. Ancestry.com, however, is one you can only use. Our agreement is that you can only use it in our libraries, but it's pretty cool. There are magazines and journals online. What to read next? I got ahead of myself. Ancestry Library Edition, it has all sorts of things in it. Birth, marriage, death records, immigration records, military records, schools. I found one of the newest things it has, this is an older slide, it has a lot of yearbooks on it. So one day I was looking, I was helping, I was in there to see, just to try out a few things. And I found my grandparents' yearbook. They met in high school in Englewood, New Jersey, and there it was. You know, you could see their yearbook, which was pretty cool. And see my grandfather on the baseball team, which was something I didn't know. Census records. Oh, this is my husband's grandmother, and that's her. It includes, here's a passenger list for when she came over from Scotland. You can actually see that. We have a lot of Lebanon history resources. We have a historical room over in the Lebanon Library where you can actually, you can look at yearbooks, old city directories, and quite a few other resources that you can use there. But some of it's actually online now, and we put as much possible as we can online. This is the Lebanon, New Hampshire Historical Resources Survey. We have a lot of people who moved to town and want to see if their house is part of that and want to find out a little bit of information about their house, and they can do that here. This you can come into the library and see, but you can also view that right from lebanlibrary.com. It's on one of the drop-down menus. Oh, hold on. This is a great thing to know. You can access the New York Times online. It will just come up if you're on a computer inside of the library. But if you are home, you go to Research and Learn, drop-down menu to the New York Times Online. You have to register for it once, and it makes you, have a login. But after that, you just go to that, you click on the link, you get it for 24 hours. 24 hours later, you go back, you click on the link, you get another 24 hours access to the New York Times Online. You can do this every day. It's free to you, but it really is something we pay for it, so we would like you to use it. Or as when I was the children's librarian, I had the kindergartners, and Mrs. Dutiel's class in once, years ago, and I'm trying to really sell them getting library cards, right? And I'm like, and how much does that cost? And they're like, it's free, you know, and then you get to do this, and how much is that? It's free. And then this like 5-year-old raises his hand, and yes, and he was like, don't our tax dollars pay for this? I was like, well, yes, you're right, you know, it's not free at all. So your tax dollars pay for all this, some of this happiness, some of it's grants, but a lot of it's tax dollars. So take advantage of it. The only bummer about the New York Times Online, and our greatest complaint about this, like once you figure out how it works, it's really pretty slick, but is that it does not include the Sunday crossword. And we're all tired, so what else do we do here? We have museum passes that you can check out. So you can go to the Courier, Billings, Vins, the McCullough Shepherd Discovery Center, the Fells. If you haven't been there, it's really cool. I find that one does not go out a lot. It's a really neat place down in Newbury. Lots of walking trails, but I'm not here to sell the Fells, but it's cool. We do a lot of community building programs here. We have this is from our cookbook club. We pick instead of a traditional book group, although we do have those, we have had cookbook clubs, and we try to do them seasonally, where we pick a book. We tell you about a month in advance that that's the book. You pick a recipe from that book, make it, and then you get to try out all of these recipes. We've done like we did Ina Garten's Barefoot Contessa cookbook, and everybody cooked something from that. We did the Smitten Kitchen. We're hoping to branch out to some other cookbooks too. And so anyway, it's a little bit like a potluck, but we discuss the books. We have film clubs. We have a French discussion group that meets once a month here and then watches a French film. Carolyn Crocker, who is a staff member here, runs, I think, 3 different book groups, plus one at Harvest Hill. We have yoga. Our newest thing is we're offering yoga. It's like Yoga 12Y. It's yoga for people in recovery or who are dealing with addiction issues or have family members who are. And it's a really neat yoga program, and that's offered here. I would say for free, but I just told you it's not for free. So we talked before. These are from our cool stuff. More of our cool stuff. Downloadable books. I think we circulated, 7,000 downloadable books. Am I wrong?
I think it was more than that.
Oh, it was way more than that. We have circulated almost 20,000 electronic items last year, which is our e-books, our e-magazines, and our downloadable audiobooks last year. So, and that's just Lebanon cardholders, who 20,000 of those went out. We do try to remind people though, because there's some people that come get a card and we never see them again, and we want to see you all in the library, but they're using the library resources, and we're thrilled they are. We talked earlier about hotspots are available to check out now. We do have one of our programs that we're offering now. We have privacy classes. Chuck hasn't done this for a while, but he does a really neat, what does he call it? Online self-defense. Online self-defense, which people have mistaken that we're going to teach you some sort of like karate online, but it's not. It's about defending yourself online. And I hope we'll offer it again soon, because it's a really neat program. You don't have to come to every class, but you're welcome to. He starts out sort of slow, setting the passwords, and then works his way up to encryption and things like that. We are offering coding for kids. We have a few different coding programs for kids, and those have been really successful as well. And then community spaces. Here's our garden that you can't see because it's under snow, but it's really beautiful. I think we're up to 23 beds, and they are by donation. So we did charge $20 per bed, and that's, I think, our recommended. But you don't have to. We found there were people who weren't able to get a garden bed because they didn't have $20, and we wanted everyone to have access to the garden. And people, I think it's a really neat community. People share plants with each other, and the meeting rooms. The little free libraries you may have seen around town. Take a book, leave a book, or just leave books, or take them. It doesn't matter. Sometimes people get nervous, like, I don't have a book to give. No, please take them. We have 4 of those in town, and we have a volunteer who stocks those for us, and we stock them generally from donations that we're not going to put in the collection or sell in our book sale.
Can I give a little shout out.
Yeah,
to
please.
volunteers too.
Please do.
I think I missed that slide. I don't know how I did that, but we do have about 15 volunteers who come in generally about weekly. One of them has been doing it for 25 years.
Oh,
She
yeah, what happened to that
retired-
side?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
She retired from Dartmouth Hitchcock on a regular basis, so I really need to acknowledge the volunteers who help us shelve and process our books and do all that, and in addition to our foundation trustee board members as well, who give their time. And actually, this was a lot of the effort of putting the Little Free Libraries was volunteer effort too. Some companies locally gave materials, gave labor. Hypertherm did the sign there for free for us, for 4 of these boxes, so yeah, just wanted to make sure I acknowledged them, especially considering the first time we did this, we had a volunteer in the audience, and she said, "You didn't point me out, what's wrong with you?" So, to make sure this is documented.
But there are 4. There's one at the bus stop here in front of the library. There's one in Coburn Park. There's one by the senior center, and there's one in the park on, it's not Glen Road.
It's like by the skate
No, right by the skate
Riverside,
park.
yeah.
What's the name of it?
Riverside.
Yeah, right by the skate park. So we have book groups. Look at this book group. This book group actually meeted, I don't think it was a library book group. I think it was a neighbor who brought their book group down to meet outside. And this is Carolyn Rucker, who I mentioned earlier, who runs at least 3, and I think she actually has her own book group too, so there are 4 book groups. She is like so hardcore. I had to take her picture, I think this was 2 winters ago. She does runs a book group at Harvest Hill, and she knows that they really miss it when she can't come. And so those are the books. She loaded them up and she took them on a sled up to Harvest. And this is from the Lebanon Library. Like, that's not a short walk from the Lebanon Library in the snowstorm. So she's dedicated. You're in the Quilting Gallery space. We offer, we have 3 shows here a year, or 3 exhibitions. The spring exhibition is always reserved for the Lebanon schools, and that's what's here now. This is a group from the Mount Lebanon School. But the rest of the time we have other community artists, and people ask us all the time, how can I show my art there? Because we do, it's volunteers who hang our art and run the gallery committee. So we don't have a lot of labor. So we have every 4 months we change the show. It's really about all we can manage. But we do have a waiting list, and it's booked out I think through 2023 at this point. And but all you have to do is submit your artwork to us. It has to be ready to hang, and we have a committee that gets together every once in a while and decides what's going to go up. But we try to have a wide variety of things. But I don't know, the school show is always fun. Yes?
You guys don't do art lending, do you? Lend out art?
No.
Just
but-
curious.
Yeah, it would be really a cool thing.
Yeah, it could be cool stuff.
Yeah.
However it is.
Yeah, they do. And it's a neat thing. It's a little bit of like storage and room. But I think it's awesome. I know some of them do. Oh, and here's our faxing scanning. We offer faxing and scanning. And when we started to offer faxing, I was like, who needs to fax these days? Well, lots of people do. And lots of, for some reason, utility companies like don't like to be communicated with by email, apparently. We're often faxing stuff delivered to utilities and the like. They want it in fax. So we will do that for you. And we, for a long time, charged $1 a page to do that until somebody said to us, a patron said, why do you charge $1 a page? What's it costing you? And, you know, it kind of went back to its old model. We're like, well, it used to cost money, right, to use the phone line, but it doesn't anymore. And we went to our wonderful trustees and we're like, why do we charge $1 a page? Especially if you're doing more than 1 page, it adds up fast. And they said, I don't know, and we no longer charge anything. It's free. You know, somebody said, well, it is our time. Well, everything's our time, right? So it's my time to check a book out to you, but I'm not going to charge you to check a book out to you. You're already, your tax dollars pay me to check that book out to you and to fax. So we fax and scan at no charge. We were charging $0.25 to scan. I think we were just kind of in that photocopying mode, you know? And someone said, oh, it doesn't even need paper. What's wrong with you? So we really, so what's next? You tell us. I mean, we really are up for suggestions from people. Because a patron just came up and said, why do you do this? I'm like, I don't know. We just haven't had, we are very busy. It's fun busy and it's good busy, but we don't always have time to sit and reflect like why are we charging $0.25 a page? It sounded like a good idea 13 years ago when we put that policy in, you know, and some of that stuff gets stuck there. Yes?
One word that you forgot to mention, Canopy, streaming.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you, I thought of that earlier. Yeah, have you been using it?
No, I signed up, but I didn't.
Canopy streaming videos, and you know, you get to it from weblibrary.com. It's awesome. So we have a pretty decent DVD collection between the two libraries, but we don't have everything. And, well, obviously, but we also, so we found a streaming service. It's called Canopy with a K, and it started as an academic, for the academic market, and colleges had it. And when I first heard about it, I was like, why can't public libraries get it? And I don't think I'm the person who started it, but they called me and said, hey, public library is going to have this now. And you get 15 credits a month, so you can watch 15 films a month. And they have a really neat, I wish I had a slide to show you, but you can go to our website and find Canopy. They have a lot of independent films. You know, you're not going to find like the latest Marvel film on there, but they have some pretty decent films. They have some classics, they have a lot of documentaries. I think it's great. They have a great kids section. Their animation is awesome. But it's another thing that's available to you, so you don't have to be in the library to use it. You just need to have a library card. And you can watch up to 15 films a month, and you get the film for 36 hours at a time, and then of course it just goes away, so you don't have to worry about returning it. So if you don't finish it, you have 3 days to finish it, and if you want to watch it again, you have 3 days to watch it again, and actually you could just take it out if you wanted to watch it again, but it's going to use one of your credits. They have a lot of foreign films on there too. As I said, it was for the academic market originally, but I think it's awesome, and it's pretty slick. Like once you put your library card number and get your account, the first thing you have to get the account. But then it's there. You can do it on watch them on your phone, you can watch it on your TV if you have like a Roku or Amazon. I think Amazon Fire Stick's the only one that won't work. It works with Apple TV. Watch it on your laptop. Anyway, I heard a yawn, and it wasn't me, was it? No. And I get it. But anyway, what's next? You tell us. And these are ideas that have been floated around. The seed catalog. You know, we've talked about getting a bookmobile and bringing it over to the farmers market. We would love to do that. We think that would be really, really fun. We have had our state library owns 3D printers, and we have had 3D printers here, and I know we will again, because there's some programs coming up. We're thinking of doing a stop motion, 1 minute stop motion animation film festival at some point. So, we're not going to talk about that. So, that's it. Do you have any questions about what we do, or why we do it, or?
Who or how do you determine which books you don't carry anymore?
Which books we don't carry anymore. I thought you were going to say which books we do carry. So it is not necessarily a science, but it is a little bit. We have the cool thing about having all of this on computers now is we can see how often a book has gone out. Which doesn't mean even if a book hasn't gone out. I mean, our librarians, the people who make those decisions are professional librarians who make those determinations, and often they'll run numbers, but they can also look at the book and say, is this a classic? Is this something a good library would have? Or is it something?
Condition of the book.
The condition of the book. So we often, if you see a book on our free cart and you think, oh my gosh, To Kill a Mockingbird, they're getting rid of that, like what's wrong with that library? It's probably just that we've replaced it with a fresher condition. At some point you look at these books and think, who wants to snuggle up with that? And they're like, nobody. So we do have to replace them.
It is hard for librarians to get rid of books because librarians are by nature hoarders. But I'm going to recommend to you, don't start hoarding the books that we discard and put on our carts because we aren't going to want them back. We have had people who have told us, we're holding all your books that you give away, with number all, that you're giving away, just in case you ever want.
Essentially, we're looking at numbers and seeing how often it's gone out. When was the last time it went out? And we're pretty liberal. I mean, we want to keep the book. But on the other hand, we have, our space is not infinite.
Right.
And so when you see those books out there, know that it's because they were replaced. We had to make room for something else.
Even academic libraries are getting away from trying to collect everything. Dartmouth College used to do that. and now they're having to make choices.
But it's hard it's painful for us sometimes, especially if you see like a book you love, the childhood books, and the children's library will say, yeah, but nobody's checked that out for 12 years. I know, but it's a great book, you should tell them that.
So the opposite side of the question, how do you decide what you bring in?
So a lot of that is, they're magazines for librarians, but they're just completely book reviews. There's Library Journal and Book List and School Library Journal. And so it's a lot of reading reviews and
Popular things too.
yeah, but we'll also look at the New York Times bestseller list, which does not necessarily mean we'll have it, but we do try to look at that. We try to be aware of what's being promoted on TV or on any NPR or what's in the wind, that you hear about is coming through. Sometimes I'll be walking through a bookstore and look at there, like, what's popular, like, ooh, we don't have that, And then recommendations from the public.
So if you go to our website, you can make a recommendation
Yeah.
for us to purchase something. And we often will purchase, Amy actually purchases our adult nonfiction, so.
Yeah, and that's another one. So that's also with nonfiction. It's not just the latest and greatest nonfiction. You want to make sure you have a robust health section, right? So you look through, you go, and it gets beyond us. I mean, it definitely does sometimes. But you look through and think, oh, like that book about cancer is 15 years old. It may have been a fantastic book, but boy, technology and medicine has grown, and we want to have the best information for you. You don't want to be walking through the kids section and have a book like, we might put it in someday.
We did that last week.
And occasionally it happens. We call it weeding. You'll go through, and you think you really weeded a section, and then the next time you're weeding, you're like, well, how did I miss that one the last time? There it is. So.
Looks like we've hit 9 o'clock.
I know, we're sorry.
Yes.
Can't ask us to talk about libraries.